Major question as I travel around the country and in various venues and even on the web, the World Wide Web, which is we get information that people ask, who is or was Frank Silvera? Frank Silvera, he was originally from Kingston, Jamaica, born in 1914, and passed in an untimely accidental death in Los Angeles in his home, and while working on a domestic in a kitchen accident. We lost him, and it just devastated the theater and the arts community because he was our leader. He typified and he personified the excellence in the arts and theater. He had come to Los Angeles to work in films like Viva Zapata, starring Marlon Brando, and he brought the first James Baldwin play, which is now a classic, Amen Corner. Originally brought it from Los Angeles, his company, Frank Silvera Theater Being. He brought that to Broadway in 1964. And we said, we need to do something to develop new playwrights, and because there were almost no venues for writers of color to go and to get his or her work read aloud, critiqued, and to put it out there and get some movement. And so it took us a while. I was stage managing River Niger by Joseph Walker on Broadway at that time. And so by 1973, we decided that we would do something. And we booked the theater, which is no longer there now. It's where all those Arthur Miller plays and where Off-Broadway was born in that area down around 34th and Broadway. It was called the Martinsville Theater. It's no longer there now. It's gone. But it was a historical area. So at that time, we came in, Joan Sandler of the old Black Theater Alliance, bless her heart, she's still working in the arts and a real supporter, said, go see Hazel Bryant, who is in the Martinique Theater. And we made a deal with Hazel Bryant. It's like I always say, if it's not on the page, it's not on the stage.
Hello and welcome to the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop's new play reading series. We're thrilled to have partnered with the Billie Holiday Theater to bring you this series. Right after today's reading, we invite you to participate in a moderated critique session. This is a unique opportunity to share your immediate thoughts and feedback directly with the playwright. And now, without further ado, we're excited to present The Shadows of Love and Light, written by Larry Americ Allen and directed by James J.B. Brooks. Enjoy the performance.
The characters are Regina Skygrove, about 55, pragmatic and realistic, a renowned professor who teaches science and physics at UC Berkeley, played by
Darlene Tellis.
Imani Skygrove, her daughter, about 25, idealistic and romantic, a spirited and passionate novelist, played by
Kreshenda Jenkins.
Alex Harvestman, about 55, a romantic and sentimental chef. He once had a passionate relationship with Regina, played by
Stefon Williams.
Amari, a mysterious guest, played by
Geoffrey Grier.
The set, a beautiful home in San Francisco. Act 1, Scene 1. Thanksgiving Day, early afternoon. Regina and Imani are in the kitchen preparing the grand meal and setting the dining room table. The home is elegant and inviting.
I decided to make roast beef for Thanksgiving instead of turkey.
I think roast beef tastes better. Mama, how many years are in a galactic year?
Pardon it?
In this science magazine, you mentioned a galactic year.
Well, that's how long it takes our sun to and its planets to orbit the Milky Way and the Milky Way galaxy. It takes approximately 230 million years.
230 million years? It's a long time.
Yes, it is. It's traveling at more than 500,000 miles per hour. That just shows you how vast our galaxy is. There may be as many as 2 trillion galaxies in the universe.
It's hard to visualize even for me. How many times has the sun orbited the Milky Way galaxy?
About 20 times.
Only 20 times. Around the neighborhood?
It's a big neighborhood.
That's not a lot. Our sun is just a baby.
Approximately a 4.6 billion year old baby. The last time Earth orbited the galaxy, dinosaurs roamed the Earth. They were here for millions of years, wandering the land and in the oceans, and they probably thought they were going to be here forever. But now they're extinct. Before Earth can complete her next orbit, humankind may be extinct. As smart and as intelligent as we think we are, we may become the shortest lived species on the planet because of our own stupidity.
Mama, that's depressing. And you have to go to work every day and teach that? I need a moment so I can expel all of that negativity out of me.
Hmm.
Mhm. Okay, done.
I don't think the universe is going to change because of your chanting.
No, but I have.
Looking at her computer tablet,
Mississippi has banned another one of your books. Florida and Texas will probably be next.
I'm not surprised. People often ask me, Professor Skygrove, do you believe in time travel? Do you think humankind will someday be able to travel back in time? And I say, yes, just go to Mississippi. And another thing, whenever I'm in a speaking engagement, there's always someone who wants to debate me or ask whether I believe in God. I'm there to talk about not theology. I tell them that religion is based on your faith and not scientific facts. But if you have to rely on me to confirm your faith, then your faith must be weak. But they keep pushing. Do you believe in God? Do you? I tell them, yes, I do. Every night, I get on my knees and pray, Lord Jesus, please protect me from your believers.
Mama, you better be careful because it's those God-fearing believers who are taking assault rifles and shooting up churches, synagogues, and shopping malls.
Yes, I know. And I never heard of an atheist doing something like that. It's always the God-fearing people.
I think I need another chance.
Do one for me too.
We'll do it together. Come on, just follow my lead.
Um,
Me? It's refreshing and relaxing, just like a hot cup of tea.
I think I prefer the hot tea.
Ha ha ha. Oh my God, it's almost time. Who's going to be here soon, Mama? I can't wait for you to meet him. He's a galactic dream, the type of dream that will survive the next orbit around the Milky Way galaxy.
Oh, really? Imani, you said that about the last guy was a dream and the one before that.
Those other guys are superficial, empty inside. They were more interested in themselves or their cars or their money than always talking about conquering the world when they hadn't even mastered themselves. I mean, I know money is important. You can have all the money in the world, But if you don't have love, you might as well be poor. I'm tired of wealthy men with bankrupt souls. I want romance, not finance.
Let me remind you that it's my finances that afford you to say things like that.
And then your money has been well invested. Then there's those other guys. They're just like the fancy books. They're all look all glossy on the outside, but when you open them up, blank pages. Empty heads equal empty pages. There's an African proverb that says, "Be careful when a naked person offers you a shirt."
Or his underwear.
You don't need a proverb to remind you of that. Mama, do you believe in love at first sight?
I must believe in something because I gave you birth.
I can't see living a life without love. I was simply eating at this cafe, watching joggers and sailboats go by. I was eating a sliced grilled cheese sandwich and an avocado salad while reading poetry. Out of nowhere, he appeared. I mean, one moment he was not there, and then the next, like magic, he was just sitting at the table across from me. I was at awe, and all because he was so handsome. And then he looked at me with his dark, penetrating eyes, and I started to hyperventilate. I felt hot moisture gushing from my pores.
What kind of pores are you talking about?
Vapors were everywhere. I lost my breath and my heart started to drift away like a detached kite captured by a strong gale. I didn't want to stare, but I couldn't escape his gaze. He said hello to me, and the sound of his voice made my soul whirl around like a carousel. And we're talking about galactic whirlings, and it whirled around more than 20 times. It took a moment to respond because my voice had deserted me, and when it came back, I had a hard time calibrating it. My mouth was stuck. I looked like a tortoise eating peanut butter. Hello? But as we conversed, time disappeared. The sun stood still. Hummingbirds, dragonflies, and butterflies froze in midair.
Do you have a fact checker for your novels?
This is not one of my novels.
Do you know what would really happen if the earth came to an abrupt stop? Everything not bolted down would suddenly go flying eastward at more than, 1,000 miles per hour. Windstorms would be stronger than an atomic blast. And a massive tsunami would slam across the land, covering nearly 20 miles in less than 1 minute. And that's just the beginning.
Isn't there something in the Bible about the sun stood still for one day?
Oh, the Bible didn't have a fact checker.
Anyhow, I'm speaking about a different kind of reality. Romantic, subjective, or magical realism. The realism of the heart that transcends the limitations of the boundaries of reality. The chemistry was exhilarating. The moment we met, it was like there was a bond between us, a connection, like Catherine and Heathcliff
Who?
from Wuthering Heights.
Oh,
If all else perished and he remained, I should still continue to be. And if all else remained and he were annihilated, the universe would turn to a mighty stranger. The Bronte sisters wrote from the heart. Mama, you need to really read more about classic literature and poetry instead of reading all those scientific American magazines.
I was reading the Bronte sisters before you were born. Catherine Earnshaw, may you not rest as long as I am living. You said I killed you. Haunt me then. The murdered do haunt their murderers. I believe. I know that ghosts have wandered the earth. Be with me always. Take any form. Drive me mad. Only do not leave me in this abyss where I cannot find you. Oh God, it is unutterable. I cannot live without my life. I cannot live without my soul.
Not bad for a scientist.
Not bad. Before I had you, I was human. I used to be human. Sometimes I think having children siphons away your humanity from parents. I have some poetry just for you.
E equals MC squared isn't poetry.
Well, Einstein thought so. Okay. Who said the poetic quote? I don't think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married people.
Yeah, that's a good one. Not poetic, but good. I never thought about that. Who said it?
Nikola Tesla.
I used to like him. It's messed up. Now I must decide whether I want to invent something or fall in love. That's a difficult one. I got it. I'll invent something that makes people fall in love. Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge.
If I had a heart condition, I would rather have a knowledgeable surgeon operating on me than an imaginative one.
Anyway, it was like we shared the same blood. Unlike those other guys, he was truly interested in me and my soul. It was like we were searching for something, missing something, but we didn't know what it was until we found each other. Last night, I had a strange dream about him. It was kind of vague, but we were walking through this beautiful garden, and the sun was shining right above us. And when I glanced down at the ground, I could see my shadow, but I couldn't see his shadow. I kept walking and staring at the ground, but there was no shadow. What do you think that means?
Probably means it was just time for you to wake up.
I'm still trying to find out why my friends admire you so much.
Oh no, honey. Dreams are mysterious, difficult to study in a lab. I think many of them are meaningless.
No, this experience was different. Dreams have their own reality, their own language. This was a message dispatched from the stars. Maybe his shadow was trying to free himself. He was tired of being a slave to the laws of physics, so he escaped.
Hmm. I think you need to escape from those thoughts. You're thinking way too much about this guy.
Mama, if I thought about him every moment, that wouldn't be enough. Something tells me I'm going to be thinking about him forever.
Okay, wait. This is your mama talking to you? Imani, you just met this guy. How long have you known him? How many times have you gone out with him? Once? Twice?
Time is just a number.
I wouldn't be surprised if you met him yesterday and invited him to dinner today.
Ha ha ha.
Okay. Then when did you meet him?
Details don't tell the tale, Ma.
Detail. Girl, I just want you to be realistic. I don't want you to get your heart broken again. I know what it's like to think that you're really, and then
I know what that's like too. Mom, I know you're a prominent physicist and you're accustomed to being locked away in some sterile lab and worrying about facts and empirical research. But sometimes I feel you're so busy studying the mechanics of the universe that you're neglecting the mechanics of life.
what about the mechanics of being realistic?
You sound like a professor I used to have. He would say, I used to believe in God, but science is more dependable.
Hmm. Is he single?
Single and boring? Mama, I'm just trying to express to you how I feel without, sarcasm or condemnation.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. You're right. What is your friend's name?
His name is Amori.
Amari?
What's wrong?
Nothing. I always said if I had a son, I would name him Amari. I've always liked that name.
So if I would have been a boy, you'd name me Amari?
Yes, I guess so.
Well, maybe you might get a son-in-law named Amari. It would have been nice to have a big brother around instead of being the only child.
Having an imaginative daughter like you was like having several children.
Noticing the dead flowering plant on the living room table,
Apparently, my plant died. I tried to save it, but it just,
That's the plant I bought you on Mother's Day?
yes, it bloomed for a while and then it died. It's a shame. It was so beautiful.
she places the plant into the trash.
Remember the time when you planted a candy cane in the backyard because you wanted a candy cane tree?
I was a little girl.
You weren't that little.
You have a good memory for remembering the wrong thing. I wonder what Daddy is doing.
Who knows?
And too bad that didn't work out.
Hmm. Just because something ends doesn't mean it was a failure. It would be nice if relationships could go on forever, but the reality is they don't. We took the marriage as far as we could, and when we realized that it was no longer working, it was making us miserable, we decided to end it. Staying in a miserable relationship isn't success, but failure. Ending it is success. People change. Although in this case, I think your father grew up.
You mean like Peter Pan?
No, Peter Pan was more mature. In fact, you might be older than your father because I don't think he got past 17. Unfortunately, it took me years to realize that.
Daddy was fun. He used to make me cookies and read bedtime stories to me.
I used to read bedtime stories to you too.
Mama, stories about Isaac Newton and Carl Sagan aren't bedtime stories, although they did put me to sleep.
I was trying to give you some practical information instead of filling your head up with fairy tales and magic and all that enchantment nonsense. All right, I do admit your father was fun. He had his good points. When I met him, he was fun and sweet. But when we got married, he was so irresponsible. I thought he would change, but he didn't. He would rather play than work. And he was spending money we didn't have. He was still partying. And to make things worse, he was having affairs. I couldn't deal with that. Our house became silent and colder than Uranus, a house besieged with icicles. Although we slept in the same bed, we were light years apart from each other. I drifted into a deep depression and I was dying inside, suffocating. So I had to save myself. I had to put an end to that. Otherwise, it would have killed me.
That had to be horrible.
The last time I saw your father, he was doing a somersault on a skateboard and dating some girl who had just graduated from Pampers. Who knows? You might have some brothers and sisters running around out there. Muhammad Ali said that a man at 50 who still believes in the same things he did at 20 wasted 30 years of his life. I think your father at 55 still believes the same things he did at 1 year old. I mean, that was so foolish that he would just.
Let me remind you that he is still my father.
All right. I'm so sorry, dear.
Sorry for belittling my father or for him being my father.
That was really good.
Mother.
For belittling your father, of course.
Thank you for acting like a parent. By the way, who is Alex?
Who?
I was in the basement and I found an old shoebox that was tied up with red ribbon. In the shoebox, there were letters addressed to you from some guy named Alex.
I had forgotten all about those letters. Letters from a long time ago. It's like another world.
Who was he?
Just a friend from the past.
Just friends don't write letters like that.
Those letters were private.
Private letters are the best ones to read. And he sure could write some private letters.
Imani?
So see, I thought we could talk. You're always asking about details from me. Now I want you to give me some details.
Alex Haverston. I met Alex a long time ago when I was in college, a freshman or so. I was a science major and he was a theater art major. This was years before your father. He was charming and handsome and funny. He had a way of telling stories. Many times I would just sit there and listen to his adventures like a child. He always looked like he was in deep thought, like he was on the verge of discovering something. He could act and sing and dance and can do a lot of other things too.
I can tell from the letters. All this time I've been doing research for my amorous novels when I could have been reading your letters. I'm writing about fantasies when my mama hit.
Imani.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm acting like you. You're expressing yourself and I'm interfering with it. So how long did you date him?
We dated for a while.
Were you in love with him? I can tell by the mechanics on your face.
I guess I was.
Yes. Is this based on conjecture or do you have any empirical evidence to support your claim?
Okay. I was in love with him. And I submit those letters as evidence.
I'm going to take those letters to your research lab and see whether I can duplicate your findings, especially the positions he put about.
Imani. I was young and naive. Alex and I had some great weekends together, just doing simple things, her and watching a movie, or going to a concert or whatever. Sometimes just talking. The activity didn't matter. Just being with each other was the event. It was the only thing that mattered. Huh. And that man could cook. Woo! He made some of the best meals I have ever had in my life. I told him he should be a chef because his food was so delicious. Those were magical days.
I thought you didn't believe in magic.
Okay. They were scientific days. How about that?
I haven't seen that gleam in your eyes for a long time.
What gleam?
That scientific gleam. There it is again. I can see it even when your eyes are closed.
No, you can't.
Your denial isn't convincing. So, what happened with you and Alex Harvestman?
He had dreams about making it big. He wanted to be a force on the stage, on the screen. He had a yearning and he didn't feel complete unless he could grasp his dreams. He finally got accepted into Juilliard and felt his dreams were about to open up before him. He said he was going to pick and devour fame, be fortune like grapes from a lush vine. He left for New York to harvest in his dreams. But years after graduating and mastering his skills, he had a hard time finding someone who would really give him a chance. From time to time, I would read about him acting at some unknown theater in New York or see him saying a line or two in some meaningless TV series in Los Angeles. I could see that he wanted to be someplace else and doing something better. He was always struggling, always searching for that big break, that big bang. Never came.
So, what became to him that he was waiting for the big bang that never came?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Weren't she curious? You should try to find him. He probably has the same number. Give him a call.
I can't do that.
Why not?
That wouldn't be proper.
Proper people miss out on a lot of things.
Plus, that was years ago. Last I heard, he got married.
So did you? How did that turn out?
He probably has forgotten all about me.
The mind may forget, but the heart always remembers.
A moment later, Amari knocks on the front door. Imani freezes.
Oh my God.
Amari knocks again.
Aren't you going to answer the door?
Yes, of course.
She still doesn't move. Amari knocks again.
Are you going to answer the door now or maybe sometime during the next galactic year?
Now, Mama, this is important. I want you to be on your best behavior. Remember your manners. You're from a respectable family.
Oh, thank you for passing that down to me.
And don't tell any of your jokes unless you run them by me first.
I've been telling jokes before you were born.
Yes, and that's why they sound like that.
Imani is still nervous and hesitant about opening the door.
It's probably gone by now.
Straightening her clothing and finally opening the door.
Imani.
They embrace. Amari is handsome, mysterious, and diplomatic. He is wearing a dark suit, no tie, and carrying a brown leather satchel messenger bag. Nearly forgetting about her mother, Imani gazes at Amari like a little girl transfixed by a luscious cake.
Oh, Amari, this is
Your
my
mother?
your mother. I mean, my mother.
The next time I'll wear a name tag.
Professor Regina Skygrove.
Mm.
I've heard many great things about you, and I've read all your books and articles. All my life, I've been wanting to meet you. This is a dream come true.
You. Imani has told me a lot about you too.
Amari extends his hand to shake her hand, and the moment he touches her, all the lights in the house get brighter and flicker as a celestial or ethereal chant permeates the air. Then slowly the place returns to normal.
What was that?
What?
The lights.
What about the lights?
Well, and the sound, it sounds like it's gone now.
Mama, are you okay?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yeah, yes. You didn't. It must have been my imagination.
Your daughter, Imani, is a wonderful lady, a precious soul. She's intelligent, gifted. Her novels are amazing. I love all of them.
Thank you, Amari.
I must commend you for raising such an extraordinary daughter.
Regina keeps staring at him and her hand, the hand that he had embraced. A certain spirit has slowly overwhelmed her soul, and she has taken away her voice and has made her body quiver. Regina holds her stomach as if feeling strong contractions and going into active labor.
Mama, are you okay?
Uh,
Mama,
Let me help you sit down.
Regina can barely walk, and Amari helps her to the couch.
Mama, can you hear me?
Disoriented, Regina still doesn't respond.
Maybe I should call a doctor.
That won't be necessary. Give me a damp face towel and some water in a cup.
Imani gives him the face towel and water in a cup. After patting Regina's head,
I want you to lean back and breathe like this. As if you were chanting. That's good. That's really good. That's much better. Now, I want you to drink some of this hot tea.
she sips the tea.
This is good. Hot strawberry tea with honey. How did you do that?
Drink some more.
I used to drink this a lot when I was in college.
Sipping again,
So refreshing and relaxing.
Let me try some.
Imani smells the tea and sips it. She is surprised.
This is good. Almost like meditating. How did you turn plain water into hot strawberry tea?
You will grow to understand in time. Are you feeling better?
Yes. Thank you. I don't know what came over me. This has never happened to me before. I felt so exhausted for some reason. I haven't felt like this since
Since when?
did I ever tell you when you were born that you were bald-headed? I wonder what made me think of that right now.
Yeah, me too.
The important thing is that you're feeling better. But I think you should continue to rest for a moment.
I thought you were going to faint.
I'm doing fine, baby. I was just feeling a little strange, that's all.
I still think that maybe we should take you.
I'm doing fine.
Well, okay.
Removing a box of brownies from his leather bag,
Professor Skygrove, this is for you.
Josephine's gourmet brownies? Huh. I used to love these.
I've never heard of them.
This was before your time. How did you know?
I did my research.
Amazing.
opening the box,
They're still warm and fresh. Like they were made a moment ago.
They were.
tasting a brownie,
Oh my God, this is so delicious. Like the way I remember. But Josephine stopped making these decades ago.
I had to go back in time to get these.
Amari is so funny.
still trying to figure out what's going on.
He sounds like he's serious.
That's what makes him so charming.
Taking the brownies,
I think we should save these for later, after dinner, before you eat them all.
Young man, you look familiar. Have we met before? Were you ever one of my students? Were you ever one of my students at UC Berkeley?
No, ma'am.
Did we meet at one of our speaking engagements?
No, ma'am.
No. It was when I was in college. Did we meet at Stanford?
Stanford?
No, had to be 25. No, about 30 years ago.
30 years ago, I wasn't even born.
Yes, of course. That makes sense. You would have been a baby.
Not even that.
Maybe you resemble somebody I once knew.
Who would that be, ma'am?
You kind of look like, like,
Mama, why don't you continue to rest and sip your tea? Amari can help me in the kitchen.
As Imani is placing a blanket over Regina's shoulders, Amari is touching her books with his fingers.
I've never seen her that way before. What are you doing?
Absorbing your books.
By touching them?
I like how they feel.
These are leather-bound copies of Toni Morrison and Maya Angelou, collector's
Yeah.
edition.
Yes, I know them.
I know all their works too. They were masterful writers and they spoke and taught with profound intellect and wisdom.
They still do. This is a photo of you swimming.
Yes, I enjoy swimming. Do you?
I find it easier to walk across the water.
Sometimes I feel like I can walk upon the water too.
So this is a golf ball.
Oh, that belongs to my mother. She won it years ago at an amateur tournament, so she keeps it as a souvenir. I try to keep it polished for her, but only the scuff marks seem to shine.
Scuff marks are important. This is a picture of
My father, he's a free spirit.
he passed away.
No, he and my mother divorced years ago, so he's out there living his life.
Don't you miss him?
Sometimes. When I was a little girl, I used to cry about it, but he has to be free to be who he is. So I asked for a refund of my tears. If you try to force something and it isn't meant to be, you'll end up crashing it in you.
Truth has been spoken.
Looking at another picture,
A birthday party?
Yes, that's me at my 16th birthday party.
You're 25 years old. That means you've had 25 birthday celebrations. I want you to tell me about every birthday.
You're a strange man, Mr. Amori. No one remembers all their birthdays.
Every birthday is important. Why would they not remember each one?
Very few people remember every birthday.
But that's one of the basic responsibilities of the mind is to remember. Then at least tell me about what you remember when you were born.
You're playing with me again. He remembers that. Do you remember when you were born? Do you remember all your birthdays? See what I mean? Sometimes I think you're from another world.
Then tell me about the birthdays you remember, the clothes you wore, the cakes you had, the gifts you received, and all the guests that came to celebrate you. And after that, tell me about everything you remember. I want to see it, smell it, and taste it.
Wow, I've never had anyone ask that of me. That would take a lifetime to answer. Okay, but first you must help me in the kitchen. Oh, and please excuse my mother. She's been working really hard at the university, working on some intense projects about quantum physics, about time and space, that Einstein stuff, about different dimensions and realities, and traveling at the speed of light and going back in time can make you really dizzy.
I understand. I've done that a few times myself. This is the home you told me about, the home wherein you grew up. It's beautiful. I would love to experience a tour and see the room where you slept with the purple accented walls, the backyard where you played and planted the seeds of fruits and vegetables. You said you once planted a candy cane in your backyard.
Oh, oh, I don't remember telling you that. I'm so embarrassed. You seem to remember things I don't even say. Or at least I don't remember saying them. You seem to know so much about me in such a little time, as if you know me better than I know myself. When I'm with you, time is no longer a participant, but a spectator. Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question again?
There was no question, just a request that you tell me about planting a candy cane.
Oh, yes. When I was little, I read a story about a girl who had a candy cane tree. So I thought if I planted a candy cane, I could grow a candy cane tree in the backyard. The things we believe. I still like candy canes.
Show me where you planted the candy cane,
Why would you want to see that?
because it's part of the story.
What story?
Your story. Everything that you say and do is sacred. I celebrate the glow from your spirit like flowers celebrate the sunlight.
You're going to go far in life, especially in my life.
Taking his hand,
Follow me. I'm going to give you the grand tour.
Amari sees the plant in the trash can and removes it. The plant, however, is no longer dead, but blossoming with radiant flowers.
That is beautiful. Do you have a custom of throwing away beautiful things?
No, of course not. But that plant is dead.
It just needed love.
Mama, look at what aborted to your plants.
But that's impossible.
I told you he was special. You're going to want to take him to the lab and clone him.
Imani, I don't know what it is, but there's something mysterious about him.
And enchanting.
Imani, I need you to parachute down from your cloud for a moment.
I don't have a parachute. I have a Pegasus.
A what? Okay, Imani, I need you to climb onto your Pegasus and fly back down to Earth.
Okay, we're here.
Regina gives her a look.
Okay, I'm here.
I want you to think for a moment. How did he turn water into tea? How did he get those brownies? I knew Josephine when I was a little girl. She had a small corner bakery in the neighborhood, and she made her own delicious brownies and chocolates, and all the kids loved them. No one could bake like her. When she died, her shop closed, and all of her treats, desserts, and secrets recipes died with her. That was over 40 years ago. What did he get brownies from a dead woman? What did he do? Wake her up from the grave and ask her to make a special batch just for me?
Maybe he found them on eBay. There are all kinds of collectibles on their site. You'll be amazed at what you can find on the internet these days.
How did he bring this plant back to life? Did eBay do that? Or was it Amazon.com?
Mama, has he hurt anybody? Has he injured or wronged anyone in any way? No, he hasn't. He has demonstrated nothing but kindness and goodness. I don't know how he does all these wonderful things. All I know is that they're good. So why question it?
There's an explanation for everything, and I want to know it.
That's the difference between me and you. I don't know why the sun rises, but I enjoy the sunshine. I don't know why flowers bloom, but I enjoy their fragrance. I don't question it. I don't interrogate it. I simply appreciate it.
Honey, I have learned from experience that sooner or later, poetry will collide with reality. And there are no seatbelts or airbags that can protect poetry from that wreckage.
Mama, even if poetry were to die from that collision, love would be there to resurrect it again.
That's not science.
No, Mama, it's love.
Imani goes back to Amari to give him the tour. Regina remains on stage pondering what is happening. Scene 2. Later at the dining room table, Regina, Imani, and Amari are eating dinner.
We're pleased to have you as our honored guest.
Thank you for inviting me. This is delicious. Never had food like this.
Black eyed peas, collard greens, sweet potatoes, and cornbread. This is a soul food Thanksgiving. You've never had soul food before?
Never like this.
This is good for the soul.
Then I shall eat more.
Why aren't you eating with your family on Thanksgiving?
Eating with you is like eating with family, Professor Skygrove.
Oh, please call me Regina. So, who are your parents?
That's why I'm here, to meet my parents for the first time.
For the first time? You've never met your parents?
I know who they are, but they don't know who I am.
Sorry to hear about this. So you weren't raised by your parents?
No, ma'am.
Well, why weren't you raised by them?
Mama, that may be personal.
Who raised you?
I was raised by a group of loving souls. They nurtured me, educated me, and taught me many things.
A group of people like in an orphanage? Did you go to college? What type of work do you do?
Mama, shouldn't you read him the Miranda rights before you start your interrogation?
I'm just asking him simple questions like any normal parent would ask.
Did you say normal?
If a man is trying to court my daughter, I would want to know about his family and his financial means.
Mother, this is not a Jane Austen novel. We're not courting.
Well, you could have fooled me.
And I have my own financial needs.
I know you do. But I want to know about his financial means and what type of person he is.
I find it interesting that people are so obsessed with money, as if money defines the person. He who hoards the most is the richest. Where I come from, he who gives the most is the richest.
Where do you come from?
Mama, please.
I'm trying to look out for you.
I can look out for myself.
Then why don't you know?
Regina accidentally cuts her finger
Ouch!
with her knife.
Ouch. Gosh. I cut my finger. I need a Band-Aid.
I'll go get the first aid kit. Saved by the blood.
Let me see your finger.
Oh, I hope I don't need stitches.
Amari holds her hand for a moment. When he removes his hand, the cut is gone. Stunned, Regina studies her finger and hand but can't find any sign of the injury.
But the cut is completely gone. How did you do this?
That's something I learned.
Okay. Who are you?
I told you he was amazing. Amari, you're full of surprises and skills. You must show me how you did that.
Who are you? And what are you?
I'm Amari.
I know that much. But who are you?
Regina, could I talk with you in private? I need a discussion with you.
I think he's going to ask the question.
What question? He needs to answer some questions.
I know we don't need your blessing, but if you want to continue to have a good mother and daughter relationship with me, and if you want to see your future grandchildren,
What are you talking about?
you better say yes. Yes, yes. Write it down if you have to. I'll be in the room waiting, the one with the purple accented walls.
Smiling at Amari, she exits. After she leaves, there is a stillness in the room as Regina and Amari prepare to talk.
Since you've been here, there's been a lot of strange things taking place. More tricks than a Las Vegas magic show.
I'm not a practitioner of tricks or illusions. Everything I've done has been sincere. Earlier, I said I was here to meet my parents.
Who are your parents? Do I know them?
Yes, you know them very well.
Who are they?
Regina, you are my mother.
Are you now a practitioner of delusions?
I am your son.
That's impossible. I don't have a son. Imani is my only child. I gave birth to only one child.
Yes, that is true.
Then how could I be your mother?
Because I'm talking about the child you did not give birth to.
This isn't making any sense. This is completely illogical.
When you were in college, you met a man named Alex, my father. And through that alliance, you became pregnant. That pregnancy was terminated.
Who told you that?
Is the story true or is it an illusion?
Who told you this?
It's easier to grow if you're willing to face the truth rather than avoid it.
Who told you this story? Alex?
I have yet to meet Alex
Then how do you know?
because I am that aborted son.
But that's impossible. Because if you were that aborted son, you would be dead and not talking to me.
Yes, I am that uncompleted birth. The temporary structure died that day, but my soul did not. There's a sacred land where the souls of unborn children go, and they continue to grow as souls. This is highly unusual, but I was granted permission to return here to meet my parents, the parents who never gave birth to me. This physical form you see is what I may have looked like had I continued uninterrupted on this planet. This body, however, lacks the scars and wounds of a lived life. It has never had a play date with time, which paints and shades the body and molds the mind. I am still trying to familiarize myself with this composition and this strange language that requires words, an obsolete form of communication.
Oh, no, this whole thing still isn't making any sense.
You denied me once in the womb. Will you deny me again outside the womb? Your education is hindering you from learning. There is another way of knowing. Dismantle all the things you were taught and listen to the testimony of your soul, the waves and symphony of your heart. Listen to the tessitura of your soul. From the moment you met me, you know there was something beyond words, something beyond thought. You felt weak and exhausted. You felt pain in your womb as if you had just given birth.
Oh, how do you know this?
It was your soul that recognized me. It was your soul that embraced me.
If you can turn water into wine, I could certainly use a drink right now. Are you really my son?
Yes, I am your son.
Regina's mind is a whirlwind of confusion. She is struggling to speak and move. She doesn't know whether to embrace him or not. Her confusion paralyzes her.
I have never, ever experienced anything like this. No one has. I'm so sorry,
There's no need for that.
but
No need. None.
despite everything, you turned out to be a wonderful soul.
And so have you.
After the abortion, I felt guilty. I said to myself, maybe God will see you in heaven. But how would I recognize you? And how would you recognize me?
Just as the earth shall always recognize the sun, I shall always recognize you. I have never had the experience of having a mother. On this planet, is it acceptable for a son to embrace his mother because he loves her?
It would be acceptable.
They embrace.
Mama, is everything okay?
What am I going to tell her?
Truth.
I need to talk to you about something.
About what?
Regina is struggling to find a way to approach the conversation. At one point, both are giggling. Then finally, Regina speaks.
You're not pregnant, are you?
What?
Oh, please tell me you're not pregnant.
Not yet.
Imani.
No, Mama, I'm not pregnant.
Okay. Thank God. Have you ever, have you done
Mama,
this?
are we going to have the talk right now?
Have you?
No, but I'm working on it.
Don't say things like that.
Why are you acting like a prude? This is not a bad word.
That depends on who you're doing it with.
Mama, what are you talking about?
Amari is your brother.
What? Daddy had a son?
No. He's my son, your brother.
But that's impossible, Mama, because I'm your only child.
That's true.
The only child you ever had.
That's true, too.
Then how could he be my brother?
Years before you, when I was with Alex, I got pregnant,
Pregnant?
but I terminated the pregnancy.
You had an abortion?
Yes. It was a long time ago. I was young and it was a complicated story.
Abortion is always a complicated story. Wow. This is pretty deep. I have no idea. But Mama, even if you had an abortion, the baby would be dead. He wouldn't be here.
That's true. I know this sounds crazy, but
Okay, wait, Mama. This is your daughter talking to you. You are a renowned fact-based scientist who won the Neil deGrasse Tyson Award and the Katherine Johnson Medallion. And you're expecting me to believe this ridiculous story?
Imani, please, just give me a moment and I'll try to explain the best way that I can.
As Amari
I-
approaches the audience, Regina and Imani freeze.
Tries to explain, but Amani is having a difficult time understanding herself. Though her imagination is extensive, this is still beyond the boundaries of her sphere. This form, which you call a body, is indeed strange. This carbon-based life form is nothing more than a death-based structure and a dust-based reality. You clothe your souls in a fragile fabric, a fabric made only to deteriorate, but also made of deterioration. This immunity system is weak, unable to withstand the relentless attacks from germs and viruses and diseases. This respiratory system and its cardiovascular system are rudimentary and prone to mishaps and failure.
Imani approaches Amari.
Is this true? Are you really my brother?
It is true.
I knew. I knew there was something about you. I felt it in my soul. That explains all those magical things you were doing, except they were real. But this is all messed up. There's approximately 4 billion men on this planet, but I had to fall in love with my own brother?
It was not my intention to compel you to fall in love with me. I was simply eager to know you as much as possible as my sister. The love and affection that emanates from me is celestial.
Celestial. You mean like star-crossed lovers?
My love for you is spiritual. It may not be the kind of love you seek, but it is deeper than what Heathcliff feels for Catherine.
You're killing me.
My heart and soul would rise in mutiny, even if I thought about harming you. Yet, I have unintentionally caused you pain, and because of that, your pain has been transfigured into my chest, and I feel the sharp agony as if a spike has been hammered into my heart. Amani, I would rather die again than hurt one strand of your hair.
Damn. That makes me want to fall in love with you even more. Your mistakes are magnificent. Your errors are exquisite. And your imperfections are impeccable. But incest always screws up everything. No, Imani, you can't do this. You can't go there. It's okay. It's okay. Overcoming pain is a sign of growth. A sign of growth. Damn. You got gorgeous eyes. I mean, Mama, can you please tell one of your jokes now?
I would, but all my jokes are old.
So you're some kind of spirit or soul?
I am a soul draped in human flesh.
Okay. If you were aborted 30 years ago, where have you been?
For those of us who were never born outside the womb, there exists a special place for the unborn, the stillborn, the unrealized, a place where entities have no birth dates, only death dates. Yet, we continue to grow
Where is this place?
outside,
Outside where?
outside your universe. It's a land with flourishing grace and bliss and cascading joy. It's a land of unparalleled beauty and unmatched splendor. The land is crafted with ecstasy and the skies shine with euphoria. The land has a peacefulness that even your dreams are incapable of imagining. Yet, as blissful as this place is, I had to come back here
Why?
to meet parents I never knew.
You mean me and Alex?
Yes, I was granted special permission to return. People think that departed souls are instantly transformed into perfection, but that's not so. Parted souls must continue their growth. I want to know the complexity of my past to help me grow. I do not have time or much of it. Could you contact Alex? I want to talk with you and Alex.
Right now?
Yes, in person.
Together?
Yes, you created me together.
But I haven't seen Alex in years. I heard he had gotten married and lived someplace on the East Coast.
Does that mean he is no longer my father?
No, I'm just saying there's no way you could see him tonight because of the distance.
Desire can overcome distance.
It's Thanksgiving. He's probably with his family or busy doing something.
Do you have a contraption called a traveling communicator?
You mean a cell phone? Yes, I have one, but I'm not sure if he has the same number.
Call it.
Told you.
And say what?
The truth.
Mama, just call him. This has been a strange day and anything is possible.
If you call him, he will answer. If you ask him, he will come.
Mama, just kiss the girl. What? It's from The Little Mermaid. It means just do it. That's from Nike.
Finally, Regina picks up her telephone and calls him.
No one's answering.
Wait.
Hello, Alex? It's me, Regina Skygrove. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. You were just thinking about me? Really? I was thinking about you too. No, I'm not kidding. I know. It's been a long time. That was many years ago. Uh, Yes, those were special moments. So how are you doing? You're in Paris on vacation. Wow, that's really nice. I'm so happy for you.
Tell him you need to talk with him in person tonight.
That's impossible. He's in Paris, and that's about 8 hours ahead of us. It's way past midnight. Where is he? He's walking through some park on his way back to a hotel. Paris is about 5,000 miles away from here.
5,563.3 miles away. Tell him.
Even if he could travel at the speed of light,
Where I come from, the speed of light is slow.
what's faster than the speed of light?
Already being there.
Can this day get any stranger? Oh, sorry, Alex. That wasn't meant for you. This is going to sound strange, but this is an emergency. I need to talk to you in person tonight. I know. I know. It sounds crazy, but
Tell him there's a blue door about 12 yards in front of him.
Alex, about 12 yards in front of you, do you see a blue door? He's in the middle of a deserted park. There's no blue doors anywhere.
Tell him to look again.
Look again. He wants to know how you did that. The door appeared out of nowhere.
Tell him to walk up the stairs and knock on the door.
Knock on the blue door. I don't know. Just knock on it.
A moment later, Alex knocks on Regina's front door. Regina and Imani look at each other and freeze. End of Act 1. Act 2, Scene 1. The continuation from the previous scene. The characters are in the same positions as they were at the end of Act 1. Alex knocks again, but Regina is still frozen. He knocks again.
Are you going to answer the door now or maybe sometime in the next galactic year?
Yes, yes. I guess I should answer that.
Finally,
Okay.
moving to open the door.
Oh, my God. You're really here.
Alex enters. He is handsome and dressed in a tieless suit.
Gina, is this really you? Uh, this must be a dream because this is impossible.
This is not a dream, Alex. This is real.
But how? A moment ago, I was on the other side of the Atlantic, and now I'm here. How can that? Maybe one of those recipes really worked. A recipe that
Alex, I'll explain in a moment.
Still confused,
it's been years. The philosophers lied.
About what?
They said beauty fades, but you're even more beautiful.
You were always handsomely charming. I understand that you moved to New York.
Yes, I still live there.
I heard that you got married.
Yes, but that didn't work out because, well, I heard you got married too.
Mine didn't work out either. Because
I remember the first time I saw you. It was like you held the universe in your eyes. And if I wanted to see the galaxy, I didn't need a telescope. I just had to look in the constellation of your face.
well, I think somewhere in deep space a star just exploded.
Regina and Alex have forgotten Imani and Amari as they stand and watch them.
I understand you're a preeminent professor at UC Berkeley. You know, I've read all your books and all your articles in those scientific magazines. I must admit, I don't understand half of the things you write about, but I know if they came from your mind, then they must be true.
Ooh, it's getting hotter than the Venus in here. Oh,
Sometimes love makes you forget everything.
Or it makes you remember everything and things you did not know.
Should we interrupt him?
No, hate should be interrupted, but never love. Let the observation continue.
so what are you doing now? Still involved in theater?
No, no, no. I'm a chef now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were right. Remember, you used to tell me how great my food was? Well, while I was in New York trying to make it as a actor, I was working in this restaurant as a waiter like every other actor in New York. You know, there's more actors working in restaurants than on Broadway. Restaurants should start producing their own shows because half their staff are actors. Anyway, we had this Southern chef who looked like a reject from the Confederate Army. He would smoke cigars and drink whiskey while preparing food. The man was good, but he was arrogant and mean.
Hmm.
People called him Colonel Cotton Brain because he ran the place like a plantation.
Oh.
Everybody kept quitting because of him. Soon there was nobody left, so they sent me to the kitchen. Every day was like the Battle of Gettysburg. So I was working in the kitchen with the colonel, and when he wasn't abusing people, he was always reenacting battle scenes from the Civil War on the counter, using food and utensils as troops and artillery. Except he always had the South winning. I reminded him that the South lost the war. You know, he seemed surprised. A short time after that, he got into one of his scheduled arguments with the owner.
You mean an argument about scheduling?
No, he would schedule his arguments. He had an appointment book for future disputes. But this time, he stormed out the restaurant and shouted he was never coming back. Temporarily, for a week or two, or maybe 3. Again.
What did the owner do?
Well, the owner never did like him anyway. But he went into his panic mode because he had some important guests coming in. I told him I could handle the kitchen. So I took control of the kitchen and made some changes to the menu. And the next thing I knew, everyone was talking about the food. The reviews were sensational, and the restaurant was packed for weeks in advance. After a while, I decided I wanted my own place. So I found this abandoned building and transformed it into my own restaurant. Instead of creating masterpieces on stage, now I create masterpieces on your plate.
I'm so happy for you. Your cooking was always amazing. What's the name of your restaurant?
It's called Memories.
Oh, I like that name. It sounds romantic and nostalgic.
Memories of Regina.
Oh, I never heard a restaurant named after.
Every time I'm cooking or experimenting in the kitchen, I feel like I'm trying to recapture something that was lost. Now, I have experimented with multitude of herbs and spices and exotic ingredients, trying to create a recipe that could erase the mistakes from the past. Trying to create a recipe that could transport me back to the paradise. But I haven't been able to find that recipe. Instead, I've created a menu of failures and disappointments. Yet, people come into my restaurant and eat from my menu and say, Alex, how did you make this food taste so divine? But they don't know the truth that every meal is a catastrophe, that every plate is a tragedy. I'm successful because of my failures. I'm sorry. Enough about me. I want to hear everything about you and leave out nothing.
I think you said more about me than I ever could. Oh, and I need to talk to you about something. This is my
Your daughter?
yeah, your daughter. I mean, my daughter,
Imani?
Imani.
Next time I'll have to wear a name tag.
Greetings, Imani. You should be proud. You have a wonderful mother.
Thank you. I've read a lot of private things about you. I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about you too. I should collaborate on a book someday.
After giving Imani a look,
And this is,
Alex and Amari shake hands, and suddenly a mysterious spirit overwhelms Alex. The lights flicker for a moment as a chant is whispering in the background. Thoughts and feelings are ambushing Alex as he tries to compose himself. He is perplexed as tears rush to his eyes.
What was that? It's gone now, but you look familiar. Have we met before?
Never, but always.
Well, who are you?
Ask the tears in your eyes.
Who are you?
this is our son.
Our son? You mean your son?
No, our son.
Wait, but we never had a child together.
Remember when I got pregnant?
Yes, I remember, but you got an abortion.
Yes, I did. But
Then how could he be our son?
She tries to explain, but he is having a difficult time comprehending what she's saying. He'd never encountered or heard of an experience like this. This entry has never appeared on the menu of life. There was no recipe for this experience or ingredients, foreign or exotic, that could produce such a mysterious fare. This brain, this mind that you praise and deem superior to all is immensely flawed. You claim to know the truth when your thinking process is corrupted by arrogance, self-righteousness, prejudice, religion, feelings, and opinions unanchored in reality. These culprits hinder you from enlightenment and they sabotage the truth. Even if you could escape from these obstacles, this brain, this mind is susceptible to deception. Your own magicians have made careers out of showcasing fallacies of your mind, and you pay them to do this and call it entertainment. Your own optical illusion drawings have demonstrated that you can't trust your own eyes and mind. If you cannot figure out the simple lines on a piece of paper, how can you comprehend the geometric truth of the universe?
But that's impossible.
There's that strange word again.
but I'm telling you the truth.
A moment ago, weren't you just walking in a park in Paris? You were lost in a park in Paris, and you couldn't find your way out. You had walked around for hours alone and trapped in a maze with no technical service. Suddenly, your telephone rang.
How do you know this?
Then a door appeared out of nowhere. You opened it and arrived here. Why do you cling on to your impossibilities when the evidence states the opposite?
What she said is true? That you're really my son?
Yes, I am.
Alex is moved. He doesn't know whether to embrace him or not.
Regina said, you're my son's soul.
I am that soul dressed in this makeshift structure. My original structure collapsed 30 years ago, and thus my soul was transferred to another place where it continued to grow. There is a place for the souls of the unborn, the stillborn, babies, toddlers, and children. In this land, they become the enlightened elders.
Well, where is this place?
Far beyond this universe. Your toy spaceships and telescopes will never see it. Even if you had the technology to traverse the universe, anything with ill intention will self-destruct light years before approaching this realm.
Do all souls have your power?
I was granted special permission and given certain gifts for this journey.
Regina said you wanted to talk with us.
Many things I know, but many things I do not. I wanted to meet my parents and explore why they canceled my physical existence. This will help me to grow as a soul.
Looking at each other, Regina and Alex become uncomfortable.
Imani, could you give us some privacy?
Mama, if you don't mind, I would like to hear this because it affects me too.
How is that?
Just like having something can impact your life, not having something can impact your life.
She and Alex sit on the couch. Imani and Amari sit on the love seat.
Let me express that there is no right or wrong, no morality or immorality, no good or bad, no judgment or punishment, no condemnation or retribution. There is only is and nothing more. Thus, share without shame, voice without blame. Sincerity is your language. Love and compassion are your audience.
I was young and in college when I met Alex. We started dating and having fun. We were going out to the movies and theater and reading novels and poetry to each other. Things were really great. Just being with him seems like a different world. And even today, I sometimes think about those times. Once I had a dream that I was in a park and I saw you in front of me. You looked the same, not changed at all. With a whirlwind in my heart, I ran to you and we saw each other and we embraced and wept. We held each other so tightly because we felt if we were to let go, the other one would drift away and disappear. So we locked each other in our arms tighter than heat clings to fire. We were kissing and crying and saying that we were sorry and that we were determined to make it work. It felt so real. But then I woke up and I realized it was just a dream. The only thing real were the tears clinging to my cheeks.
You know, every morning I would look forward to seeing you, and every night I would dream about you. I felt like I was orbiting around your soul, and if for some reason I didn't see you, my whole world was dark.
It was during this time when I got pregnant and I was confused because I felt I was going to have to drop out of college. I had friends who had bright futures, and I saw what happened to them when they got pregnant and had to drop out of college. I didn't want that to happen to me. My parents were hardworking people. My father worked 2 jobs to help me with my education. I was the first one in my family to go to college and get a degree. They sacrificed everything. They had to support me through Stanford, so I couldn't let them down by telling them that I had gotten pregnant. I'm not saying that all women can't make it if they get pregnant. It's just a lot harder, especially if you don't have support, a support system to help you. I know there are a lot of people out there that are against abortions, but those are the same people who won't help you if you have a baby. And then those are the same people who will do anything they can do to stop you from properly raising that baby. The other reason, or perhaps the real reason, is that I knew you didn't want to have a child, and I didn't want to hold you back. I knew if I had a baby, you would have dropped out of school to help support us because that was the type of man you were. But later on, you would have regretted that you had sacrificed your dreams. And every day you would regret and it would haunt you. Then it would have smothered you, suffocated you until your soul and your spirit were dead. And our relationship would have become an eternal mourning.
When you told me you were pregnant, I was scared. I felt like reality came crashing upon me, crashing down on my world. I had just gotten accepted into Juilliard and I was so excited. I felt as if I could soar beyond the stars and explore new galaxies. I was going to be with the best. I was planning to go to New York to finally claim my dreams. Acting was in my blood. It was my destiny to be on stage and the screen. With an invincible fire, I was going to New York to consume fame and glory and collect Tonys like Audra McDonald and collect Oscars like Denzel Washington. But when you told me you were pregnant, I felt like I became a pillar of dust and the wind was blowing me away. Because with our dreams, we are just dust waiting for the wind to make us disappear. I know this sounds selfish, but sometimes you have to be selfish in order to give. At that time, all I could think about was my dreams turning into dust. So when you told me you were going to have an abortion, I didn't protest. I didn't object, and I didn't contest because it was what I wanted, even though I was too ashamed to admit it. I wasn't ready to be a parent. Not yet. I wanted my degree, my dreams, and a better life for myself.
I wanted a better life for me too. So that's why I decided to have an abortion. But because of my upbringing, I just
Bringing can bring you down.
As though to herself.
men have a luxury of forgetting about an abortion. They can escape from the reality, but not women. A woman will always remember she carries the experience not for weeks or months, but for the rest of her life. The experience lives forever. Opening her legs and having it vacuumed out of her and having it scraped out of her and having it just be.
I am that it.
When it was over, I wept and said, if there is a heaven, then maybe someday I will see my child there. For a long time, I felt guilty, and I couldn't
Guilt,
get over it.
guilt does not exist here.
It does in my mind.
Then bring your mind back into this room. There is no guilt here, just an abundance of love. If I, the aborted, feel no offense in you, then why do you condemn yourself?
Oh, I wish the world was as compassionate as you. But I am thinking about the other women and what they go through living in a judgmental society. The hatred and how they are marred and scarred with condemnation.
I understand you play golf.
Sometimes, but not as much as I used to. Why?
Why do golf balls have dimples? Why aren't they craterless like ping pong balls?
Hmm. At one time, golf balls were perfectly smooth, like ping pong balls. But early golfers noticed that their old marred balls traveled farther because of the dents and the craters. So later, people created dimples on their balls to help them to travel farther and farther because they create turbulence. And that way they resist the drag force around them.
Sometimes perfection is the flaw. Sometimes you need the dents, the bruises, and the scars upon your life so they can propel yourself farther and higher.
It was strange. But after the abortion, things kind of changed between us. I mean, I still loved you, but things were different. We drifted apart. I wasn't sure you loved me anymore.
I wasn't sure you loved me anymore.
Of course I did.
Then why did you act so cold towards me?
You were the one acting cold.
You were acting like nothing happened.
Well, I was going through something.
And I wasn't? You were the one who tried to make
Well,
everything.
what about the time for no reason? You just hung up.
Thunder and lightning don't make flowers, but sunshine and rain do. Where I come from, when there's conflict, we hold hands and talk. It is difficult to give residence to anger when you're holding hands and looking into each other's eyes.
At first, Regina and Alex are hesitant, then they hold hands.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to act cold towards you. I was grieving and didn't know how to communicate that to you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to act cold towards you either. I was hurting because you were hurting. Instead of coming to you to deal with the pain, I was running away from you to escape from the pain. And I'm sorry for all those broken promises and taking you for granted and not giving reverence to you.
They embrace each other.
We should have talked about this a long time ago.
A long time ago is now.
They continue to embrace and comfort each other.
The human condition is difficult, and without grace, it is even more difficult. Thank you for permitting me to absorb your experience. Your souls have conveyed much. I am honored to have you two as my parents. My death has helped me to grow. The wound has healed me. It's time for me to return.
They watch Amari as he approaches the audience. Amari observes the audience for a moment as if he were reading their minds.
I understand that humans like stories, that you sometimes gather around a campfire to hear them. Gather around because I have a story for you. The wise prophet led the villagers to the Nile River because the people wanted to cross to the other side. The prophet took a spoon and went to the banks of the river and scooped up a spoonful of water. After studying, analyzing, and investigating the spoonful of water, the prophet proclaimed, "There are no crocodiles in the Nile River." Why do you laugh? It, it always seems funnier when you laugh at someone else's foolishness. But in this story, you are the so-called prophet or wise person. You have taken your spoon and scooped up some air and then concluded that you know the universe. You've taken your spoon and scooped up something from your life and then conclude that you know all life and humanity. You've taken your spoon and scooped up something from your polluted and contaminated religious waters, then declared to the world that you know God. Never have I seen such an abundance of ignorance, and ignorance that overleaps the infinite. Therefore, the next time someone tells you what is right or wrong, what is good or bad, or what you should believe or not believe, just say, "Thank you for your spoonful of knowledge." Shake off the dust from your feet and move on. Because in truth, it was just a spoonful of ignorance. The time has come.
Brother, will we see you again?
Not in this world, but one day death shall give birth to you, and perhaps then we shall commune again.
Son, is there life on other planets?
You're looking at it.
Son, how large is the universe?
Imagine this grape as your universe. Now toss this grape into the ocean. The ocean is the rest of the universe.
Brother, will I find true love?
You have already found it because you're in love with life.
Removing a journal from his messenger bag.
A gift I have for you. My journal with notes and observations about this world. Although this world has many challenging flaws, this world has the potential to achieve many wondrous aspirations, as long as it is based on love.
Son, I know you must go. But I have one more question. This country is divided concerning abortions. Some are pro-choice and others are pro-life. But you being a spirit soul, what do you have to say about this? Are you pro-choice or pro-life?
When the spoon people gather around you with their hate and contempt, with their spoons of righteousness, with their spoons of morality, and their spoons of piety and misguided love, tell the spooners, I am pro-mind your own fucking business.
The lights quickly flicker to darkness. When the lights come back on,
He's gone.
Yes, he is. Ooh. Ooh. Alex, would you like something to eat?
Yes, I like that very much.
I'll prepare a plate for you. Of course, it won't be anything like yours.
Oh, it'll be better.
Imani has been looking out the window to the backyard.
What?
What's wrong?
There's a candy cane tree growing in the backyard.
What?
Regina and Alex rush to the window.
You're right. I understand now the meaning of that dream. Remember, you taught me that light has no shadow. Amari has no shadow because he is pure light.
Slowly dim the lights. The end.
Thank you so much for joining us today for The Shadows of Love and Light by Larry Americ Allen and directed by James J.B. Brooks, featuring Darlene Tellis, Kreshenda Jenkins, Geoffrey Grier, Stefon Williams, Rhonda Hansome, and I am Kimberly Gunn with Zoomcatchers. Before we get into our moderated critique session, we'd like to tell you about what's coming up next. And what's coming up next is this very play reading. It'll be actually live on stage next week, Saturday, May 4th, 2024, from 2 to 5 at the COVID Center. So for folks that are in the Bay Area, boogie on down over there and go check this out. It's a wonderful play, and tickets can be bought via Eventbrite. Also, as far as our next play reading coming soon, we have Brooklyn Bridge and Fence by Sabura Rashid coming this July 2024. To find out more information, please go to our website and follow us on our socials. Before we get to our moderated critique session, I'd like to call up Byron Saunders, who's no stranger to the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, to tell us more about how you can support the arts. Welcome, Byron.
Why, thank you so very much. It's nice to be a part of the reading series. So in the 50th anniversary of the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop. And what does that really mean? 50 years we've been celebrating new plays, giving birth to new plays, working with actors known and unknown, and still that to come. This is an amazing observation because we're kind of like in the Twilight Zone tonight, and I kind of like that a lot. But guess what? We need your support. In order to sustain us for the next 50 years, it takes dollars and good cents, your good sense. So we're asking you tonight, please take the time to help us get to the next 50 years. We're raising $50,000 for our 50th anniversary. We're very lucky to be able to celebrate the 50th anniversary for more than just 1 year because of the circumstances of our charter. So we're going to take advantage of that, which means giving you the opportunity to look at that box in the far upright corner that says donations by pledge. This is where you get a chance to help us sustain and look at what we've done for 50 years. Oh my goodness, all the plays, all the actors, all the directors have come through this institution, and we won an Obie Award for playwriting development. It's not easy, folks. We go through the glitches, we go through live presentation, and it is about the live presentation. But guess what? Like Garland Sr. says, from the page to the stage. And this is where we help the playwright, the artists who are performing, and you, the audience, give it a chance to have comment. Not only just your opinion of what you saw, but helping to sustain us with real dollars. It takes dollars and cents to drive home this kind of operation and continue to grow and build the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop into the 21st century. So won't you take the time, give us a pledge, make it happen, put that dollar into the amount that says open it. It's right there for you. It's waiting for you. Oh, thank you very much. I see someone has already clicked on it. Thank you. That's how we make it grow. Your dollars help us to sustain and be able to continue this work. Very few theaters in this country do what the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop has been doing for 50 years. We wrote the playbook for this, and now we're celebrating the next 50 with your support. Every dollar counts. Be an honor student with us. Help us to celebrate the next 50 from the page to the stage. And so now let's go to the panel. Let's talk about what we just saw. There's lots to unravel here. And for those of you out in the Bay Area, it's coming to you live and in living color. So let's celebrate this moment as you see giving birth to a play from the page to the stage. And thank you for your generous support.
Thank you so much, Byron. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're so happy to move into our moderated critique session, where this will be an opportunity for you to offer direct feedback to the playwright, the director, and the entire cast. I want to welcome Garland Thompson Jr., Executive Artistic Director of FSWW, to the stage, and welcome back the entire cast. And Larry Americ Allen, please join in. First, I want to say congratulations and bravo. What a wonderful a display of perseverance, and great job, everyone. Take it away, Garland.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you very much. And thank you, Byron, for speaking out on how to donate the arts. We appreciate your help and support. And thank you to our wonderful cast today, who definitely a model of perseverance and kept through and kept shining. Thank you to you all. Thank you to our director, James, Mr. JB Brooks. Thank you so much for all your hard work and perseverance as well. And of course, thank you to our playwright. A big round of applause for our playwright, Mr. Larry Americ Allen, for putting together this piece. And this is quite a piece. This is indeed quite a piece. Byron mentioned it felt a little bit like being in the Twilight Zone, and that's funny because that idea came up through the course of pulling this together. So this is a real interesting piece here. This moderated critique session is, as Byron said, the workshop basically wrote the book on this. This moderated critique session is a chance for you, the audience, to share what you feel about what you just heard and saw. We're here to investigate this play, and with the hopes of giving feedback to Larry, the playwright, that will help him make it even better than it already is. So we highly encourage you to put your hand up. We love to hear people's voices. So attendees, I know there's some wonderful people out there. I know we've got at least one or two playwrights. I saw Dorothy Marsick in the house. Hi, Dorothy. I know Kimberly Lamar Orman is out there as well. Hi, Kimberly. We encourage everybody to, get on the microphone and feel free to put your comments in the chat if you prefer to do it that way. And I don't know if we have a poll tonight, but we may have indeed a few questions. Oh, and also thank you to our narrator, Rhonda Passion Hansome, a longtime member of the Frank Silvera Writers Workshop, and who is always there to support us with all of her fabulous talents and skills. By the way, you can hear her on Sirius XM on the John Fugelsang Show. So if you're a Sirius XM subscriber, and it's a great show, Fugelsang is very funny. He's a very funny guy, and Rhonda is right up there with him. So definitely go check that out. So let's talk about this piece for a minute. I'd like to start. Let's, as Byron said, there's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with James Brooks, our director. Can you kick us off with a comment or two about this piece and where your head is at with it?
Thank you so much, Garland. Can you hear me?
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Man, you persevered for sure. And that's what the hard work does for you. When we have been, the times and weeks that we have been in rehearsal, prepared us to go through what we had to go through today. And it was wonderful. I am so proud of each and every one of you who have come to this production, gave it your all, left everything on the stage, and it really showed today. So we have one more performance, which will be a live one. And when we've gone through what we've gone through today, that's going to be a whiz for sure. I definitely want to thank Garland and Kimberly for all of their help and their support. And man, I'm telling you, this is a wonderful program. This writers workshop is a wonderful program that will give a lot of talented people an opportunity to explore and exhibit their works. So just keep doing what we're doing. Thank you so much, Garland.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much. I'll throw the floor open real quick before we get to our attendees, and definitely attendees, we want to hear from you. To throw the floor open, anyone on our cast, like to throw out a comment or anything you'd like to add as we get started here?
And also Larry.
And Larry, of course, Larry, the playwright. But we want him to listen mostly. So anyone here? Okay, so all right, so I'm going to play teacher now, and I'm going to call on folks now real quick to move things along. Darlene Tellis, wonderful job. Thank you, Darlene, for jumping in as Regina Skygrove. Darlene just came to our production here, our reading just a couple of days ago. She stepped into the breach here and really picked up the baton and ran with it beautifully. Darlene, any quick comments you'd like to open us up with?
Well, I was
Oh.
scared because my sister kept going in and out. So and if I told, I was paced to make it imagine where they were because I couldn't hear. It was so it's going in and out. So I was trying to figure out, okay, she probably finished saying that by now. So it
Right.
got like that. But
Well,
you know,
fortunately, we got to a point where that did smooth out, and it smoothed out, I think,
yes,
for the most important parts.
absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. But and the piece itself, I have to say, you know,
Bear with us, folks.
of mystery, and I always have in his work. So this is a dream come true for me because when I first saw a piece that he did at the National Black Theater Festival, I remember sitting there after it was all over. I just sat there and they did a reading. And I was just looking up at the stage saying,
Oh.
I'm going to do one of his pieces. I want to be in one of his works. And here I am. So I'm really glad.
Perfect. Thank you, Darlene. Thank you. Kreshenda Jenkins, wonderful job with Imani Skygrove, the romance novelist daughter. What would you like to say to get us started?
I would love to say that this is an amazing piece of work. And I mean, I'm not surprised. I've known Americ for a very long time. I've worked with him on a few other pieces, one of his plays, which is a brilliant play called The Expulsion of Malcolm X, and then another reading. And he's just amazing. Amazing. He touches you, he makes you go there. And this piece is amazing. And it to me, it connected to me personally as a woman that's 45 and has experienced some of these things. The first time I read it, I was very in tears. And so bravo, Americ. You know, I love you. You know, I think you're amazing, and keep on going.
Thank you. Then we have let's move on to the father in this scenario, Alex Harvestman, Stefon Williams. Thank you, Stefon. Great job. What would you like to say to get us started off here?
Yeah, I want to thank all the participants in this piece. You know, and this topic being a topic matter of today, and being discussed and voted upon and fought over and really, really handled properly, improperly, and sometimes. And it just so happened I have a friend who had gone through some trauma with abortions in the past, and at present, she had made a decision to give birth, her and her partner, but unfortunately she had a miscarriage. So she had a bunch of guilt and battles with her spirit and her mental. And I was hoping she'd be here, but I don't see her. I haven't heard from her today that she would be attending, but there's a lot of things going on with individuals and females having to have their lives discussed and dictated to by males who really don't understand. They're just power struck, you know. So I appreciate this piece, and as I said before, I've known Larry and James and several other members for quite some time, and I appreciate just the opportunity to be a part of this. So.
Thank you, Stefon. Thank you very much. And you bring up a very valid, very, very important point. This is very much, I think we're all in agreement, this is very much a topic that is very relevant today. I mean, it's been relevant for a long time, but it seems especially relevant today. So thank you.
Before we continue with the cast, I just want to make the announcement for audience members who want to make a comment. You can put them in the chat, or you can put them in the Q&A. You can also use the raise your hand function and go on the mic. So we encourage people to join the conversation. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Kimberly. Rhonda, let's hear from our narrator. Rhonda's got something to say.
Well, I'm new to the group, but I have to say I was so impressed with a piece that could be scientific, romantic, supernatural, and so humorous all at the same time. And it really is a tremendous achievement around what is a very, very difficult subject, and has a tremendous possibility of tearing people apart, and the play brings people together on a magical realism plane, and I just think it's fascinating, and I congratulate the writer and director and the entire cast on bringing it to life with Zoomcatchers, and I'll see the writer in North Carolina at the National Black Theater Festival.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Rhonda. Yes, he is a regular attendee of the festival, and I can confirm that he usually, in fact, I don't think he's ever been there where his play hasn't been accepted into the Garland Lee Thompson Senior Readers Theater of New Works. So we fully expect that's going to happen again this year as we join each other again there in July and early August. Last but definitely not least, from our jam-packed, our cast of greats here is, of course, our man, Geoffrey Grier, who played the mysterious guest, Amari. Amari, what have you got to say to us?
Well, I'm honored to be amongst the contemporaries that we have here, because everybody brought it the way it needed to be brought. And I think that, as I've always said about Larry, he's one of our playwrights that captures and understands the subtleties of the human experience, in particular the Black experience, but it is the human experience. And, the many different angles and dimensions in which things are approached, it once again reminds me personally about what theater is really about. What is it that we're doing? And what is this art form? It is an opportunity to take the emotional guardrails off and really explore the many different dimensions of emotion that we have, and look at opportunities to explore new ways in which to communicate. This could be an instruction manual. And for some of us who can't really open the book, we need that visual stimulus, and we need to have somebody, as Amari said, we need somebody to tell us a story. You like stories, don't you? Well, let's tell you a story. And I think Larry's a good storyteller. He can give you a real good spooky one too, boy. He'll give you a good scary tale. And but I think that by engaging with the people in this cast, we were allowed to go there, comfortably, easily, and do our best to translate the experience and emotion that Larry was presenting. So I want to say I'm honored. I want to see where this is going to go. It's great. I love it. Of course, as far as social justice goes, this is right on time. And, we all need to be putting this front and center for those that have a problem understanding. Mm-hmm. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. I'm really happy to meet all of you, Kimberly, Garland, the mysterious Byron Saunders, and, it's been a wonderful experience, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it. And thank you to the audience, wherever you are.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Geoffrey. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job you did up there, and thank you. And you're spot on with everything you said. One of the things I found really refreshing about this piece is that it's a conversation about a difficult subject, but in a way that I haven't heard conversations about this subject happen. And I think we're all desperately in need of, our society is desperately in need of finding new ways and hopefully better ways of discussing subjects, difficult subjects like this, that don't put us into perilous situations like we feels like the nation has been in recently. So very much appreciative of that. So thank you very much for pointing that out, and thank you. And for those of you who don't know, I want to point out Geoffrey, in case you don't know, you may have recognized him, figured it out. I was also thrilled to hear we have David Allen Grier's brother. He's David Allen Grier's other brother, and we are happy to have the member of the Grier family with us. So thank you so
I'm
much.
his older brother. He's
Would that
Mysterious
mean
old
would that mean you're the better looking brother? Is this it?
I don't get into those aspects, you know. Those are things that my mother told me we aren't supposed to talk about. We leave those alone. We're all
Listen,
equal. We're
yep.
all fair. We're all here. But he's
Listen to
little.
mom. Listen
He's
to mom.
little. He's little. I'll just tell you, he's little.
I do want to remind folks, if you want to join the conversation, you can raise your hand and come on the mic. You can also put your comment in the comment section or the
Okay.
Q&A if you have a question. I do want to read a comment before we get to Byron. Let's see, Mitch Hoffman says, congratulations, another great performance, taking a difficult and personal subject and giving us another way of conversing and trying to understand these difficult subjects, even if we have never experienced this firsthand. And a special bravo to the one and only Rhonda Hansome. You still don't need the D. Must be an inside joke. And let's see. Terry Crenshaw says, wow, a powerful performance. So please feel free to pipe in, join in the conversation. And I think Byron has his hand up. Go ahead, Byron.
Thank you very much. My question is for the playwright. We're barreling into the 21st century, and I mean, if we're traveling at light speed, which it's amazing, we are moving towards interdimensional conversations, quantum physics. Where do the souls go once they are released? And understanding there is another dimension, and you bring not just the quantum physics concept into this, being out there in the Silicon Valley and all things that are happening out there, but ultimately a conversation that women must have right now with men who are objectifying them in a different place, talking about things that some men are trying to put themselves in the position of playing God, as well as a deciding what is best for women, let alone trying to figure out what's best for men. My sister once told me, abortion and stillbirths is not God's answer a rejection of a child, a fetus, as much of a reality as those who are trying to not have a child? So are we abandoning the fact that God has a position in this? And I love the way that you brought in spirituality into this by not even identifying the religion, but simply talking about things that are spiritual in a manner that says, where does that entity go? Not just in birth, but in death. And I found that really exceptional because you didn't talk about religion, yet you brought spirituality into this. So what drove you to really bring these ideas and concepts? Because we're, like I said, we're barreling toward the close encounter of another kind, and we know it's there. We who are spiritual have had these things which we call miracles. Perhaps what we are really engaging is the quantum physics. Everything that we've understood about the universe is now falling upon us in a story-like manner. And you really captured some moments that I thought were quite interesting and very successfully done. So tell us about that, why you decided to bring all the science and everything into this storyline.
Okay, let me tell you first, to give you the background behind this story, why I came up with this idea, or I shouldn't say I came up with the idea. It came from my late wife. She passed away in 2019. And one day we were in the room and I was in the bed taking notes or doing something. And she said, honey, there's a play I want you to write. And I said, yeah, because people always come up to me saying, you should write about this. So I said, yeah, what is it, honey? And she said, I want you to write a play about a mother who has dinner with the son she aborted. And when I heard that thought, I stopped everything because I came to a standstill. And I thought, whoa, I've never heard of a story like that. And I thought about it, I said, I love the idea, but I said, honey, there's a major problem. If she aborted her child, the child would be dead. So how could she have dinner with them? And she looked at me and said, you're the writer, you figure it out. And yeah, I liked her response too. But you know, she's passed away, and it wasn't until last year that it finally hit me. I said, I know how I can write this play. And when writing this play, I knew the controversial political waters. It's going to be a difficult task to do because of what's going on in society. If you want to look at the Supreme Court, Arizona, Florida, Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, you can't mention the word abortion without a fight or without conflict. So I said, I'm going to write this play, and I want to navigate these waters and not bring in religion, but tell a human story about this son who wants to meet his mother who's been aborted, the son who's been aborted. And if you notice in the play, I don't mention any religions. I even refrain from using God. I didn't want to even bring God into the concept, except at times when they say, "Oh my God," but using God as a term of expression, but not in terms of God as a spirit. And I want to avoid that. It's easy to go talk about God, but then once you bring in God, then you got other issues to deal with. So I brought in spirituality and humanity and love and compassion. That's what God should be. So again, I didn't want to mention any religion. In fact, the play says, and this is why Amari addresses the audience throughout the play. And at one point he says, you know, he tells us that basically we have eyes we cannot see, we have a mind that does not think. And he says, we're all contaminated by, and he lists a few things of opinions. And he said, one of them is religion. Religion has blinded us. And because we cling onto things, beliefs have been passed on. And this is the reason he talks about the spooners. You know, who are we to judge anyone? You know, he says you take your spoon and you dip it in the polluted waters of religion, and then tell people you know God. No. And to dip your spoon in the Nile River and say, you know, there are no crocodiles there. We know there's crocodiles there. So I was focusing on spirituality, not necessarily religion.
And it really is a successful merger that as someone posted recently, Christ was not Christian, Buddha wasn't Buddhist. You understand what I'm saying? Muhammad wasn't, wasn't practicing Islam. They were all about love. And if we come back to that universal concept where the most powerful force in the universe, as I understand it, as an artist and a creator like yourself, is that love is the most powerful force. And when we bridge that, we can have this conversation with a mother who lost a child, whether by rejection of her own body, because at that point that's why I said my sister really shocked me in her comment. She said, "Well, God believes in distilled births." But do we blame God for that? Or we're going to give, you see what I'm saying? Because at some point, the virtue of losing that, which you are giving birth and creation to, is a part of the life cycle, just like giving birth and having death. And yet we are confused because we want to engage political concepts into something that's really about the human existence. And you cannot define that by medicine. You cannot define it by science. There is a spiritual reality, and I love the fact that you made it African. You put it in the Nile River. You made it possible for us as African Americans to say, okay, this is our story. This is about us. And so it's not about the others, it's about us. And I salute you for that. Thank you. And when you come back to Winston-Salem this year, I live here. I can't wait to see you.
Thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned about the Nile River because I was trying to, I had it originally placed someplace else. And I said, no, I'm going to take it to to our culture and made it
Yes.
Nile River
Yes.
and use that as the example.
Excellent. Then that clearly works. So that's wonderful. Byron, you picked up on it. Larry, you designed it. You put it in there, and he picked up on it. So that's coming through clearly. That's wonderful. I see Kreshenda has her hand up. Kreshenda.
Yeah,
Kreshenda, what?
yeah, I didn't want to, I had to say this, Americ. So a few things about that story. What you said, Nicole said what she said, that such Nicole in her fashion. But the manifestation, the irony of this and the spirituality and God in this is that the play did not transform and manifest until she transitioned. And that's God and spirituality within that. And that's the beautiful thing to me. Another beautiful thing about this is that you had that idea, but it didn't manifest until she became a part of that spiritual world.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
Yeah, very, very interesting how that kind of relates, how, you know, how it kind of dovetails into itself there like that. That is very interesting. Thank God for magic realism, right? I mean, where would we be in this world without magic realism? Thank God the stories that we're able to tell using that kind of thing really allows us to explore these. Let me throw this out there. And again, I want to encourage our attendees, please put your hand up, join us. I know we have at least one other playwright. I think we've got a couple other playwrights in the room there. And so I know we have some very talented actors and people. Please join us. To our actors, since we have you here, to our actors, you all had to say these words. You all had to say these words and, you know, try to embody these characters. How did that work for you? How did what you were given to work with, what would you say about that? How did that work for you? I'll throw that out there. And any of our cast can answer.
I don't know. For me, it was, you know, I had to go through this process. And the process, okay, you get the script, and then I look at it, and I'm like, oh shit, what did Larry do? You know, we got his side here. I got it. You know, we're gonna sit up here and talk about abortion. We're in the middle of the damn thing, and you know, people are arguing and fighting and killing each other. I said, so all right, here we go. But it was for me and for what, you know, my path is in the craft, it was right up my alley. It felt very comfortable and reasonable to be doing it. It was difficult to conceptualize at first, but I think that the way it was handled was I liked it. And it's one of these pieces that the more you do it, the more you see it and you get more depth out of it and you can pull more out of it and give more purpose to it. It opens a door of communication, which I think personally is what's missing in our humanity these days. We don't have communication. We got a whole lot of hollering, but we don't have communication. I think this just opens the door. So, you know, it wasn't, you know, just because it's a play reading, what didn't make it easy. It wasn't an easy, you know, it's not like, oh, somebody gives you a script, you're gonna read it, it's fine, okay, boom, you're done. That was not the concept at all. It you know, it deserves the emotional weight that can be delivered, you know, on all ends, on all sides. Anyway, before Daddy starts talking, I know he's getting ready to say something, man. That's my daddy over there. You know, he always wants to say, you ain't saying it right, son. Let me say it. So go ahead. Let him go ahead, Daddy. Go ahead. What you got to say?
Oh, you stupid, you stupid.
See, told y'all. See, told you.
Yeah, I really appreciated it. You know, and I really appreciate James Brooks, our director. And it really pays to have a personal relationship with the director and being open for contact. And he would call me. I think there were times I thought I'd knocked it out of the park, right? And he said, well, he called me up and he critiqued me, and like I wanted to be like Billie D. Williams, and he wanted me to be more like Denzel, right? So he transformed me from how I thought the character would be, and he reeled me in and molded me and changed it until it got to where I thought he wanted me to be. So, like, I really appreciated that. And my son, I've been knowing him for quite some time, and we've done some magnificent works together. And we're part of a troupe that I worked with him on one play for about almost 10 years. We had a continuous run all
we had
over
continuous run,
northern,
longest run.
the northern hemisphere, and it was great. And I really appreciate working with the ladies. And I know that this subject can possibly sometimes be touchy and emotional for you
Don't
girls.
give me a phone number, ladies. Don't give me a phone number.
Yeah, he hit me up in the chat, But anyway, I really appreciate this piece of work. And it's the subject matter, like I said, is very controversial, but it's needed. And I hope that at some point that the world at large can reach a resolution that's favorable to the female population.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me ask you this, Stefon, as an actor, the material you got, you feel like this was really, you feel like you had some meaty stuff to work with there?
Say that again?
I said, as an actor, coming from the point of view as an actor, do you would agree that the material that you had to work with this play was meaty material?
Oh yeah, I was at times I was anxious though, because I don't come in until the second part, right? So I'm, when I first read it, and I'm talked about in the first part, but I'm not introduced to the second part, So the concept is really magical, and like I said, religion is man-made, but this is a spiritual presentation, and I like the concept. Like in the beginning, Regina mentioned heaven, but my son let it be known that he didn't reside in heaven, nor hell, nor purgatory, but a place beyond our imagination, So it had, the whole concept is heavy and deep and makes you say, why didn't I think of that? But I'm so glad that I come from an era where, see, I'm a great grandfather. So
Kimberly, hit the mute. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Before my son throws out the hook,
since we're talking about actors, Darlene or Kreshenda, from your point of view as actors, how do you feel about the material you had to work with here? What would you say to like, is there any advice you would give? Is there anything that was in the material that really got you going in any particular way?
Wow. Yeah, I could say, I guess I'll go. All of it. It's hard to, put in words, but just the fact of her experience being in college, I had a similar experience with that. And so seeing that Americ put it on paper, and I think that, well, if you do the stats, a high percentage of women have had abortions, right? And from my experience, there's some guilt, a ton of guilt, right? I mean, nobody really wants to have an abortion. And so when the decision does happen, you live with it. And then as you grow older, there are you know, if you can't have kids, or if you don't have kids, I don't have kids now, there's this thought in your head that, is God punishing me? Did I make a wrong decision? And then you have, you know, society and those that say that it's a sin, or you have society and those that say that, you know, the law should be able to dictate what a woman should do. But what if a woman is raped? What if a woman is abused? What if a woman can't pay for a child? So you want to bring the child in an environment without a father. And so there's all these different types of scenarios that can occur. And just relating to this story, seeing that my mother, you know, transitioned from going through that, living through that pain throughout her life, and then, you know, moving forward and having a child, and me being this child. And it seems like my mother put so much love into this child, probably knowing that she had another seed that she wasn't able to give birth to, but she always loved. And so for me, being that child and having been 25 before, and being naive and so full of like, what's the word? Just excitement about this idea of love. And she's right. Like, love is a beautiful thing, but then you lose that as you get older. Like, you start to kind of, in some ways, get a little, some people just stop believing in love. And so being able to portray that, like, oh my God, and adoration, and then the irony that she fell in love with the one person that was her brother in the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even though she has this pain, but her and her mother still have like this beautiful, like, joking bond. So even when she's in pain, she still goes to her mother and says, you know, tell me a joke. And then her mom kind of responds, even though they're both in pain, with humor. And so I feel like I had some problems kind of transitioning that. I didn't want to overact it, right? But then you're on video, which is different than being on stage, and it's kind of more like being on
Right.
camera, right? And so when you're on camera, you don't want to overact, but you're not,
Right.
you're kind of limited. So there was a transition, and I'm still feeling like I'm trying to make that transition, because I wanted people to feel like we were on the stage,
Right.
but kind of still in television without overacting. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm
Right.
saying that too, like, you know. And so I had this internal conflict in my
Right.
head, and I just realized that, okay, Kreshenda, just be in the moment, and you know, live in the moment, and make it feel real. Like, be in the moment. You know, acting is playing a pretend character, but playing it in your reality. What is your reality? Try to transition and try to transform that from the book into your words. And that's what I try to do. And, you know, some days it sounds beautiful, and some days I'm like, oh God, what the hell did I say? How did I say that? So, you know, it's been fun.
Well, you know, it's very interesting because I had this thought, you know, as I was watching it in rehearsal and just listening to it and reading it. And I had this thought, and I shared this with Larry and actually James. And then James, we'll come back to you. I see that your hand is up. We'll come to you in just a moment. But I just wanted to throw this out there that I got this interesting read at one point that here you have these two women. You have a mother and a daughter. You have Regina and you have Imani. Regina is fact-based, a scientist, scientific, reality, real life. It's like, yeah, you know, it sounds great that what if the world stops spinning, but do you know what would actually happen if it starts spinning, right? So she's like living in that world. And in a sense, she's kind of like, Kreshenda, what you were just saying, what's happened to her is, it's not maybe that she doesn't believe in love anymore, but it's like, you know, her experiences with it and past and all that, and giving it up. She said, no, she's pushed it away, and she's now this, right? But now here is Imani and my read. Now my read was that Imani, personality wise, right, kind of like how she's like, kind of how she views the world, is the way Regina did when she was 25.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very interesting. I thought it was very interesting that Larry put those two together. So in a sense, and it's not anything that they would know or ever think about or anything like that, or that we even have to know necessarily or comment on. But I thought there was such amazing possibilities there, such an amazing dynamic because she's constantly, mom is always saying, yeah, look, you said that about the last guy. She's constantly trying to tamp her down, for her own good, to save her what she went through, right? And Imani is constantly kind of pushing back against. So it's a very interesting dynamic there.
And Imani is like her love.
Yes.
If I write a book, we should write a book together. Imani is just basically like if they would have had a child, she became like Alex.
Yes.
So
yes,
yeah,
exactly. So I really got excited when that hit me. I was like, wow, that's really very interesting. So very cool, very, very, very cool.
We have, just to let everyone know who's up next, we have James Brooks who will make some comments, and then Kimberly Lamarck Orman. Take it away,
Yay!
James.
Excellent. Well, let's hear from James, and then let's get on to Kimberly.
Okay, thank you so much again. I appreciated this play so much. Again, I just want to reiterate, Larry has such a foresight that when we think about it, and I think Byron probably somewhat alluded to the fact about the history. When we think about the history, and Larry said he went back to our culture, to the Nile River, when we understand that is the beginning of life. That's where we all come from. Until someone came in and stole our history, plagiarized it, and gave it back to us as another ethnicity. They told us all these lies. And now as we move from the Piscean age and moving into the Aquarian age, the age of Aquarian, where we have gone from people telling us what we to do, now we are expressing ourselves more. And I just love to see these young people, with all the uprising that's going on all over the country. Young people are now being assertive and taking control, taking charge of their lives and what needs to be done. And hopefully some kind of way, we will be able to straighten out some of these lies that have been told to us. I hate to say it, but religion has been the one thing that has kept us down, kept us at fault. Everybody else is moving on, but we just hold on to that religion. And I'm just hoping that more people will come up like Larry and other writers that have a vision, that know that there's another story that needs to be told. And I just appreciate that. So I just wanted to interject that for sure.
Excellent. Thank you, James.
Thank you. Thank you so much, James. And I just want to read a couple comments from the chat, and then we'll get to Kimberly. Dorothy Marsick. Hello, Dorothy, says, thanks for a great play and a wonderful performance. Mitch Hoffman says, it's a new version of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Really appreciate all your comments, and we're going to turn it over to Kimberly Lamarck Orman. Take away, Kimberly.
Kimberly Lamarck.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening.
Hi, Kimberly.
Hey, how are you doing, Garland?
Good, thank you. So nice to see you here. Glad you could make it, and always thrilled to hear from you.
Well, I'm happy to be here. My compliments to all the actors for a great performance, and to the director and to the writer. It's such an important topic, as has been discussed. I think that the first portion was just beautifully done. My hat's off to, I know there were some technical difficulties, but my hat's off to the writer, director, and actors. I think there's some work to be done in the second act, or the second portion. I feel as though the second portion really focuses more on the male perspective of what happened, more so than the female perspective, the guilt, the shame, the struggle of having an abortion or not having an abortion, and really what it is like to take that on, and what's left over after you take it on. I just don't think that that has been clearly exemplified through the characters, through the dialogue. And I think it's just too heavy on the male perspective of the effects of I didn't have a child or I wasn't born, versus what is really missing is that struggle that the woman lives after having had an abortion. So I want to reach out to the playwright and encourage you to really explore the truth of that and not lean so heavy on the male perspective of the aftermath, whether it be the child or the father.
Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Okay, that's very powerful. That is very, very important. I want to stick with that for just a moment, because that's see, Larry and I were talking about the kind of feedback he was looking for, and I think that definitely falls into that category, Larry, of the kind of feedback. I think that is very important, because it can be very difficult to capture that if you yourself, as a writer, or if you're not someone who has gone through that or experienced that. So I think that is something that should definitely be explored further and shaped. I personally think that the second half could use some work too. I agree. I think stuff it's alluded to, some of the things I think you're talking about, Kimberly, it is kind of alluded to, but I think there's definitely room to explore that more, but not necessarily through what could end up sounding like political statements or something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. And I even think that the daughter, her responses are very self-centered in terms of, she seems almost desperate to find a husband all of a sudden. I mean, she comes from a very strong woman, but now all of a sudden she's like, I've got to, this guy's got to be my husband. The desperation, I'm like, where did that come from? She's a strong Black woman that comes from a very strong Black woman. Why does she feel so desperate all of a sudden to marry? I mean, that just doesn't work for me. I just think that there's lots more opportunity than what's being presented right now.
So the idea of meeting this man, and he's so incredible that she is now in this place or in this space, there it could use some more linkage or some more massaging or something. Or
I
just
think
like
so.
say,
I think she's too old to fall into he's got to be the one. It's just she's not 20. She's not in her early dating or romance time, and so it just doesn't ring true.
Okay.
Knowing who her mother is and assuming the things that her mother has bestowed upon her.
Yeah, that's true, because her mother is very much a strong character. She is a respected scientist. She is a respected professor. She's very much a career woman and would be a role model as such.
Right. So why is the daughter so desperate all of a sudden? This guy that she barely knows, I mean, is all of a sudden the be all and end all. I don't get that.
So just the whole. So the whole falling head over heels in love kind of thing, that's not flowing for you. It's not flowing.
No, it doesn't flow for me. I just don't see the justification unless she's a weaker child. But she's portrayed as a very strong child in the beginning. So I don't see what the correlation is between the character development. I just don't see.
So the action is not
This
is
singles
not
in.
tracking with what's been set up as the character, not really fully tracking.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Darlene, Darlene, that's very great. That's really good, important to hear. Darlene. Oh, I think Darlene's.
You know, Byron's had his hand up, and also James Brooks has had his hand up. Thank you so much for everyone for participating. We really appreciate your comments.
I don't know if I can figure out what's going on.
James,
Okay,
this question is for you. As a director, when given a script like this, because this deals with a dimensional concept, sci-fi. Let's call it sci-fi, and transferring that, because we know in Deus Ex Machina we have this obvious way of creating the special effect on stage, but as a director, having to take a script like this and then working with your playwright, those moments where you all have had this conversation relative to character development, story, plot line, and all of this, because some of what Kimberly is saying probably is fleshed out in that process. And I know you wanted to say something to her relative to your working the piece. So as the director, I mean, tell us a little bit of your process in taking a script like this, which is not conventional, but you're putting in using a convention to express. And I have to thank Kimberly, our Zoom catcher, because Mr. Grier's visual was almost ghost-like. And I was like, ooh, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm getting a symbol of why he's not dimensional in this, but in another dimension itself. So as a director, this had to be a good challenge for you. So tell us about that.
Yeah, Byron, thank you. Thank you so much for asking that question. And hello to Kimberly, for sure. It's been a while. My process is to read the script and read it and read it and read it. I have, as I expressed with the actors, I've read this thing from forward to backwards. I mean, even went to the back page, last page, and came back to the beginning again. And each time I read it, I received a different flavor, a different color. Every time I read it, I found something different. So my job as a director is to try to interpret what the writer has wrote. Okay, I'm not getting into all of the possibilities and all of that. I want to portray and make his words come to life. That's what I want to do. So all I did is just read. But I want to say this to Kimberly. I heard what you said, and I hear you. And I'm not speaking for Kreshenda, but I do want to say this. Larry has given us a vehicle. Larry has given us a vehicle. Larry got some other projects he want to work on. So Kimberly, you or some of your friends can pick this play up here now and move it forward to what you would like to see. That's how I look at things. Every time I know when Spike did Malcolm X, people want to complain about Malcolm and it wasn't done. Come on, you pick it up and take it to where you wanted to take it to.
Well, I appreciate that offer, but I thought that this forum is to give the playwright some feedback so that
and he received it. He received it,
right.
But I'm just saying that's for the next writer to go ahead and maybe finding out what they can add to it. That's
well, okay, thank you. Go ahead, Kimberly, make the statement, then I'm going to jump in.
I just understand it to be the same writer that's looking for feedback on how he can make it better from, you know, from an analysis from different individuals. And so I was just giving my perspective of analysis, not that I want to pick up the play and produce it myself, but just to help the playwright himself to see a different perspective. And that's the reason I gave the comments.
Let me
And I-
jump in here. Let me jump in here real quick because Kimberly, first of all, I'm going to thank you for that because I actually want to stick with that because what you were talking about basically is kind of simple, kind of boils down, not the larger point you were making, but it kind of boils down to some of it. I think boils down to craft. In other words, you set up a character, then what you do with that character has to track with what you've set up to begin with. So in the case of the Imani character, I think that's what we're talking about there, that there's character that's set up that you need, that Larry, it looks like that's something maybe you need to look at that, look at where that character is gone and see, does it track with what you've set up? Okay. And I think, and then I want to hear from Darlene, and then we'll get back to Kreshenda real quick. But I also definitely want to speak to the larger point that Kimberly made, that I think that I agree. I think it could use more female perspective. I think there could be a better blend in there. So I think Larry, you have some opportunity to play with that and to work with that. So I think that is incredibly important, especially for this subject. It is just hugely important that the female perspective is portrayed well, is well respected in the freedom in the room that it has to be heard. So I think that's hugely important. And Kimberly, I'm very grateful that you brought that up because this is exactly, Kimberly, you're absolutely right. This is exactly the kind of structural analysis and the kind of critical analysis that we're trying to get to here. And I also wanted to say that this is we're not here to litigate. I mean, everybody knows this, but we're not here to litigate the issue of abortion or whatever. We're here to look at the structure of this piece and where is it at in order to give this playwright the critical analysis. He needs to take it even further so that somebody can pick it up. Somebody can look at it and immediately go, wow, I am going to produce that. So it can get to the next level, but it will never get to the next level if this critical analysis doesn't happen and then the work that is identified through this critical analysis happens. So that's what we're trying to do here. So Darlene, I was trying to hear from you before, but I think you'd frozen, but you're now unfrozen. Sorry, Kimberly.
We have Darlene up, and then Amari's been waiting as well, and then Alex, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
great. So let's hear from Darlene. I know I wanted to hear from you before, but you were frozen, but I'm glad you're back. Oh, unmute yourself. You gotta unmute yourself.
All right.
Hey.
So what I got from the character Imani was not that I didn't get desperation. What I got now, when I read the script, like 3 times, so like around the 3rd time, I saw her being overcome by a powerful spiritual force. Oh, he's this, and he's just so mad. He's this. And it wasn't so, it was specifically, she was overtaken by this spirit. That's what I got. And she was trying to translate that to me. And I kept trying to bring her back to, girl, you did that the last time and the guy before, but this was different. This was like, I've already grown up from that, mom. I don't want any material things, but she didn't even know why she was overtaken by the guy. And so what comes across to me, and so I tried to bounce off of that, where it was like, what is she talking about? Like, is she cuckoo? Like, has she gone out of her mind? So, because it was like not so much another guy, but this is something different. All of a sudden he was right there. Like I was just eating my avocado salad and my, was it tuna fish? And whatever. My avocado salad and my whatchamacallit sandwich, and I looked up and he was right there. So it wasn't like I was just talking to her like on an everyday thing where she met this dude and, oh, he was really cool. This was different. And I'm like looking at her like, oh my God, this girl is loony. When is she gonna just come off of her? But she was loony for a reason, because of who she had an encounter with. And she had an encounter with somebody else. a non-human person. That's what I got out of the script.
I feel like that could be a solid reason, but it also has to be shown in a way that comes across that because I think you do run the risk. It does run the risk of being read the way Kimberly read it. So there's going to be always lots of different interpretations, but I think it is. So I think it's a matter of finding that balance with this character again, that what is happening, what the character is doing is tracking with what's been established for the character.
And
I
can
think
I
with
please just ask
Great.
this? Can I just, and I know other people, but just since it was someone that I played, Kimberly, thank you so much. I appreciate it. We are looking for this. My question for you is do you think it was the way it was played? Because maybe it's the way I acted it. If that's the case, then I need to go back to the drawing board.
No, I don't think it's the way it's played, but the background history is, oh, you're doing this again. The playwright has already given you that this is your MO. And so the mother talks to you about, don't go down this road again. So that just reinforces for me as the audience member that this is the type of woman that this young woman is. I don't think it's the way it's played. I think it's the way it's written.
Okay.
Great. But
So
go ahead, Garland.
So it sounds like, I definitely agree. I think in general, there's more character work that could be done. And I think this is definitely an area one. And I think this is important because one of the things that I would hate to see, and I know Larry's not going to let this happen, but I would hate to see the character of Imani sort of be, not get the proper character development, that she should. All four of these characters, they're all four really interesting characters and they're rich characters, but they need the proper development. And also the action, what's happening needs to track with who they are and or what they represent.
And I just want to say, I thought you did a beautiful job playing the daughter. I mean, really a very, really nice job. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amari has been waiting to make a comment. Go ahead, Amari.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think that, given the text that was written, and once again, this is first pass, all of the actors did exactly in my opinion, they handled the material well, very well. Given the subject matter, given the dynamic of what we're dealing with, given how there's an interaction, I think everything was handled properly. I think it was well done. I think that personally, I think that the writer took a slice out of this experience. I think that perhaps he could add some text of realization for Amani at the end, when Amari is leaving and she realizes, she can come to some big realization. However, she is 25. She has been lived a rather sheltered life. She has been doing what she wants to do. She's writing romance novels, still living at home. So, there are circumstances and dynamics, and these are people I've known.
Yeah.
And so it is time period and it is specific. We would love to have, and I'm just going to put it, I'm just putting it out there the way I see it. We would love to have it more female centric with the experience, but I think that would be another play. I think that would be another piece. I think that's something more that could be. I mean, you could expand this. We're already coming in at 2 hours, so you're gonna blow it. We're really gonna be out there then. But I think that there is almost room for another piece entirely, almost Regina's story. I mean, that really, really examines, the ins and outs of what this experience is from a female perspective. I think, given the approach that the writer took for this subject matter, given the circumstances under which it was written, I think that it was really, really well handled. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. And
Okay.
I got to
Yeah.
get ready to go. Love y'all,
Thank,
but see
Thank you,
y'all.
Jeffrey. Thank you,
thank you so
Jeffrey.
much. Thanks everyone
Thank you
for
so
still
much. We'll be
being here and hanging in there, and for participating. And we know it's getting late, especially for folks on the East Coast.
yep.
So I know Alex has a comment to make as well.
And then we've got a comment from Kreshenda in the chat we'd like to read, and then we'll wrap this up soon. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was just let it be known that the play was written through the lens of a man's lens. Now, what if the concept, I also thought about what if the concept of if the aborted child was a girl and taking the opportunity for the aborted child to give birth was taken away. She would never experience the gift of producing life. But me personally, the male influence is portrayed directly. I would have wanted to know more about Kreshenda's father, Imani's father, who, for whatever reason, Regina decided not to marry.
He was an idiot.
Not to have children, but she did. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. She did marry him, but didn't stay with him or have a successful relationship.
Yeah, to the left, to the left.
Yeah, she had to run, bro. She had to run.
Yeah, remember he was younger than Peter Pan.
Right. Kreshenda had written in there, here's an interesting comment. Other lines can be cut to add the women's perspective. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jeffrey, definitely, I hear you what you're saying. That's very valid. You're absolutely right. And sometimes, yeah, depending on where you're going with it, we are talking about another play. This is another piece, but it's interesting to consider what might happen if you could massage in some different things, or a little bit different things, or a little bit more of this perspective or that perspective, etc. So I think I think Larry, you've got a lot of opportunity here, and I know you're getting a lot to think about. We're giving you a lot to think about here. Which way do you take it? Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say it's not a bad thing, because we know Americ is a beautiful, brilliant writer, but I know my mom was starting to go down that path and talk about how she felt guilt, and she kept on talking, and then Amari cut her off and said, that it is me. And so then we changed direction. And as a woman, and a woman that I blatantly said has experienced having an abortion, I can understand what Kimberly is talking about, because the women that I know that have had abortions, they're like, it's not a simple thing. And there is a layer of so many emotions that you go through. And that for me, I still go through at 45 years old, 44 years old, right? And so I totally understand what Kimberly is talking about. And if you want to take it, there are people you can talk to. You can talk to me. There's a lot of people, women, I'm sure you could talk to get that women's perspective.
Yes, and I do want to say that, I appreciate all the comments here, but I also think it's the playwright's job to look at all perspectives, regardless of his gender. If he's going to write a rich play, he needs to look at all the perspectives. And if it's about a woman's, this play stems from a woman's choice. There's no play unless she has an abortion. And so if that's the basis of the play, then that psyche has got to be explored. Whether you're male or female, as a playwright, I don't really think that that comes into play. What does come into play is thoroughness.
I think that's spot on, Kimberly. I would definitely agree with that. It's, you know, the writer, whoever the writer may be, no matter what gender they are, no matter what color they are, or whatever, it is the writer's job. If you're going to be writing, creating different characters, it is your job to investigate each of those characters and to portray them as fully and richly as possible, which definitely means getting out of your own skin, your own head, and whether that be through talking to other people, as Kreshenda has suggested, whether that be doing research, however it comes about, it is incumbent upon the playwright, upon the writer, to do that work. It's not necessarily fun work. It can be sometimes feel like grunt work.
Shutting it off.
You know,
Right.
thank you, Amari, thank you, Geoffrey.
Okay.
You know, it can be tough work, you know, but the end result is going to be worth it, because what we are talking about is true or as true representation as we can of someone's experience of this, in this case Regina's experience. So I do feel there's definitely a lot of merit to that. Larry, I think you've definitely got some things that you can play with here. I think you've got a lot of opportunities to really delve into this, in very interesting and creative ways, and to bring in that female perspective. I personally would have to agree with Kimberly that I think the female perspective here is absolutely critical. And it's not that it's not represented at all, because, you know, it is, but I think, but as again, this work is in its early stages too. So you have room to move, you have room to grow with it, you have room to play with it, you know, and I highly encourage you to do exactly that. You know, play with it.
You've got a great platform. I just want to tell you that you've got a great platform, you know, to do it for sure.
Absolutely. The setup is beautiful. The setup is absolutely beautiful. But listen, Kimberly is right. If there's no abortion, there's no play, right? And who is the one who goes through the abortion and feels it the most? It is the mother. It is the woman. So that perspective is incredibly important. So again, not that it's not represented at all, okay, because that's not the case, but this is a starting point. So that's, I think, the way we all need to look at this. I think that's one of the best ways to look at this. This is an incredible starting point. I mean, and for a starting point, it's like, wow, you know, there's a lot of good stuff happening here. You know, now can the lens that is looking at this photograph, can it be focused? Can it be a little more sharp? Could there be, you know, differences in perspective more? What? I think so. So I think that's that. I know it's starting to get late and we want to finish soon. So I know if Dorothy Marsick is still here, she's one of our playwrights as well. So if she would like to come on up and say something, we'd love to hear from her perspective as well. And then we
really want to thank everyone who has been here and who stayed. I know it's getting late. Thank you so much for your participation in the conversation and the feedback.
Yes.
We appreciate it. If you have any final comments or questions, please put it in the chat. You can also raise your hand and go on the mic. And I'm going to show the card for if people in the Bay Area, or if you're not in the Bay Area, if you want to come see another live stage play reading. Next week, Saturday, May 4th, it's going to be at the Cobit Center in Richmond, California, and tickets can be purchased on Eventbrite.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we highly encourage people to go see this cast, put in even more work on this. And Larry, well, do we have any other comments? Anybody waiting to make any other comments at all?
I think we're good.
We're good. Larry, let's hear from you. You've taken a lot. You've had a lot coming at you in the last few minutes here. How you doing? How you feeling? Oh, you're unmuted. Gotta unmute yourself. There we
go. Thank you for the feedback, and I appreciate everybody's comments and thoughts about the play, and they will be considered.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I've seen you taking notes, so I think
Yes.
that's great. So, so
Mhm.
excellent. This is exactly what we're here to do. We're not here to litigate the issue, whatever the issue is. In this case, abortion. We're not here to litigate the issue. What we are here to do is to do our best through our comments and our love and our attention, what have you, to help this playwright make a play that's starting off very well, even better, and can get to that point that I think what we're all kind of saying is we all want it to reach to this place where it can be kind of like that magical place that Amari talks about, right? So we want this piece to get there. We want these characters to get there. And I think frankly we're halfway there. Personally, I think we're definitely halfway there. We've got wonderful characters that we're rooting for from the start. We never stop rooting for any of them, and they're all incredible people. I mean, Alex, a successful restaurateur, an artistic man, a creative man, who's followed his heart in some ways and not in others, and have had to deal with the repercussions of that. Imani, a young budding talent. In love with life, a novelist, a creative soul. Regina, fantastically, endowed scientist and educator, someone who's dedicated her life to helping her community and fulfilling her parents' dream for her. So, which is incredibly important. And of course, the character of Amari, who is kind of on a mission, and one of the things I'll say, Larry, real quick before we go, is that one of the things one of the things I was looking at, and I was thinking about this, and this might be a structural issue. I was thinking, okay, Amari comes down and he does say, okay, this is why I'm here. I'm here to grow my soul, et cetera, et cetera. But the question that kind of kept coming up into my mind is like, okay, that's great for Amari, but what do the parents get out of it? What do Darlene, and for that matter Imani, what do they get out of it? What are they all left with? And I think it's a positive thing that they're left with, i.e. the candy cane tree, right?
Well,
right.
Well, I think I think it's more than that. But anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, so I think so I think maybe you can look at that and see, is there a way that maybe is there something to that? Is there something to that? You know what I mean?
Well, I think the parents get back together, and I don't think they would not have gotten back together had it not been for Amari. I think,
right. Yeah, absolutely. But I think maybe that could be, I don't know. I was just like, maybe that's just not as clear for me as like, because I see it now, it's kind of an incidental kind of thing, like a residual thing, like, oh yeah, they got this. But from when Amari's talking about it, he concentrates mostly on himself. He concentrates solely on himself, pretty much, and why he's here, why he got permission to come down. He's a soul, and he needs to grow, and he wants to do this, and this will help him grow, which is wonderful. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It just like cosmically, I think it's an opportunity where it just so happens that everything aligns. What Amari wants and needs to grow is exactly what they need to grow, but they don't know it. They don't know it, and his presence instigates all of that change.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if that could be, for me, if that could be more part of the main show instead of kind of a happenstance, like a residual effect of all this, for me, I think it would be, it could work a little, it could work very interestingly. I think I don't want to say better or worse or anything like that, because it's not about that. It's always about stronger or weaker. It's not about better or not better. It's all about what's stronger, what's the strongest choice that can be made and implemented.
I think Darlene has a comment. Go ahead, Darlene.
Yeah, that's it's so interesting to hear these different perspectives. It really is so interesting. I saw it as her getting closure and understanding that the world's principles are not necessarily how the universe thinks about things. And that when he came, he wanted to get his parents back together because he knew that they should have been together. But because of that specific perspective of abortion and his work and blah, 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 and they didn't talk about it, he pulled them back together. So it was like, I think when we see it on its feet, like when we see it on the stage, I really do think that all those elements will come together. And like going back to the daughter, because she was just so whimsical about this guy, the mother's reaction when the mother becomes whimsical, then it is show like, oh, now I understand. This is different. This is weird. This is not normal. This is why my daughter's acting like this. And if, you know, I'm in the kitchen cooking or whatever, and, you know, on set, you know, on the stage doing this, and you see this transition with my body language, my looks, my whatever, you know, looking at her, then all of a sudden I get dragged in, not because he was handsome, not because he was a guy, but because he was a man from another world. And that was what happened to her, you know. So I think that when it's on its feet, all those elements will present themselves, you know. Going, I really think, because he addressed it's not important. He said it like, I'll take the spoon and tell him to go, you know, tell him to F him, you know, because that's not what it is. It's not even about that. It's about love. And that's what the spirit that came was trying to point them to, love. And he had two parents to be able to say, you guys, you know, are about love. So that's what I saw.
Got you. I think it's all there. Frankly, I think all of this, I think it is all there. I think it's just a matter of bringing stuff more into sharper focus. Yeah, more into sharper focus. And you're right, a lot will be portrayed on stage. However, the one caveat to that is something my own father was very fond of saying, which is, if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. So we should be able to get a clear idea of that from the page and from the script, which then allows the director, the cast, the people to then take that and really fly and really show it to us. But you're absolutely right. I agree, Darlene. A lot. It's tough sometimes to get stuff a lot across. There are certain things that just would come across better when you're actually up on your feet, when things up on its feet and running. So this is absolutely true. So it's always kind of, I find it to be all a balancing act, kind of, you know, trying to find that balance. And that's what we're trying to find. That's what any playwright and every writer is trying to find, that balance where what they want to say and how they want to say it, it all comes together with that great Goldilocks blend that's just perfect.
Right.
You know, so that said, I think we've come to our time. Is there any other comments, Kimberly, or anybody else would like to say anything?
I don't see any more comments in the chat. Let's see. Kimberly Lamarck Gorman says, still need the mother struggle of aborting, and then great work, everyone. So thank you, everyone, for participating. Really, really appreciate the vibrant conversation. Obviously, it's a very important topic, and I think this has just been a great platform to provide different perspectives. I really, really appreciate it. Appreciate everyone hanging out here. Go check out the stage reading next week, Saturday, May 4th at the COVID Center in Richmond. And you can also find out more information about the FSWW New Play Reading Series on our different websites. And we hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly Lamarck Gorman. Thank you so much for your comments. Thank you, everybody in our cast. You all are wonderful.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. And Larry, we'll talk to you soon if you want to hang out for a minute, and then we'll have yourselves a wonderful Sunday evening.